3, 2, 1.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Oh, show!
Oh,
My God, the kitchen table and the computer just shook. That is, no one was mad that you cut the whole... You go anywhere!
What do I do with that?
Yeah, and the Macho Madness and the Hulkamania.
On top of that, you're the best wrestler of all time. So I absolutely adore you.
For being the cream of the crop, yeah.
Let's go!
Fucking idiot, you have no idea what you're fucking talking about. God. They were saying Sony apparently said that the PlayStation 5... You fucking suckers! Is that the end of it?
Or every pixel of the game engine into the face. Can't say
That, Dallas.
Stupid.
What did I... You know, when that's like part of my Christmas...
Hey, welcome back to the Break Room Podcast. And tonight we have a very, very special guest.
That's right.
This is one of the greatest people that have ever lived on the planet Earth.
Right.
And has had such a profound impact behind the scenes in my life. This is one of my best friends in the world, Eric Gruenfelder, a.k.a. Gruffy, if you ever see him in the comments. Welcome to the studio. And of course, we're joined by Vin and Chris, usual co-stars of the Break Room Podcast. And I'm very hyped to have Eric finally here because he was here for the first episode 3 years ago in the comments, and it's a
Here
long
in
time
spirit,
coming to have
every
him.
single episode.
100%. I mean, he's literally directly the reason why this whole show exists.
100%. Yeah.
So we're going to start at the beginning. So
We're gonna go all the way. Well,
We're
we're just
going
gonna
there. Okay.
we're going to start with the beginning.
Sit back,
So-
Eric.
so-
Don't get ready to not say much for the next.
So Eric, why don't you tell the folks where we met?
Where we met. Well, we met at work,
We did.
right? We met in a bank, credit union.
Ugh. I still get PTSD. It's like the black helicopters when you hear credit union.
Was it the Ticket story?
So no.
It
So
wasn't
the
Dick, so it was
the
before
original story
Yeah.
was when you came into the branch, you were working next to that piece of work, Bernadine, and
Piece of work.
and he accidentally calls her Bernadette because I think it's like his first day on the job.
First day in Hop
Easy mistake.
First day in Hop Hog specifically. He actually
Yeah.
worked for the credit union before I did, and he calls her Bernadette. And she's like, "It's Bernadine," and I'm like, "Bernie, calm down. You know, he just made a mistake." He's like, "How would you feel if you got your name wrong?" And I was like, "I would correct them, move on with my life like a normal person." And she didn't speak to me again for like months. And Eric and I became friends.
God forbid.
And that was it. That was like the spark. And then
That's
eventually,
all it takes. Someone being an asshole.
That's it. You know,
And
it's
we were
the,
just
it was
like-
the glue.
The fuck did I do?
Cashing and depositing thousands of checks.
It was
every hour.
horrible. Yeah, they had us do every mailed-in check for the entire company in the branch because they felt we weren't busy enough. So
Beautiful.
we suffered through this crap.
Beautiful.
And then eventually I got promoted to the same position he was. We were at the desk together for a little while. And then Eric, you know, as the champion he is, moved on to bigger and better things. He got a hotshot job in the city, and now he's still killing it in the fucking city. My best friend left me, but he didn't leave me totally empty-handed because I met some of my best friends in the entire world that formed everything for me. You know, Vin and Chris. I wouldn't know any of these guys if it wasn't directly for this guy because we started brewing beer in Vin's backyard.
Hell yeah.
And Eric
Remember that.
asked if I wanted to come
yeah.
one time, and I came out, and that's how I
how I met
got
you.
into the whole
You
fold
guys were
with
brewing the
everybody.
beer.
Isn't that like a weird chain of events? You think
Very
about it?
weird. And then, if that wasn't
Spider-Man
enough,
To the next, to the next, to the
you
next.
went to Quinnipiac with Phil and Tom,
Gilliam!
and they started following me around with the camera for New York Comic Con, and that set the whole Peter Griffin thing ablaze. I mean, what has it got, like
Still the
18 million views now or something like that? It
still-
could finally hit 18.
Still going.
Exceeding
It's
that.
still
It's insane. And
I don't know how you did it.
it still
Phil-
resonates with a lot of people because I was very candid about it. It's why do you do what you're doing? It's like because
It's
it makes
not-
me feel good. Because
it's
I don't
not
feel
just
good in my
the-
everyday life. You know, it's
Exactly. It's not just the novelty of like, oh, Peter Griffin, and look, and it's the earnestness and the whole behind the scenes in that interview that Phil did with you that really takes it over the top and allows people to connect with you. I think that's the underlying thing why people really love you more than any other one of them. It's not just how good you are at doing it, but there's an earnestness behind the whole thing where you're just like, I'm just a regular guy, like got this regular job and kind of not happy about it, but it brings me joy to bring other people joy, and I think that just is like grand slam.
And the long story short is that due to Eric here, I got my best friends and basically my career.
Cheers.
And, salute
cheers.
to Eric.
Thank you.
Love you, bud.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Salute. I also drive a Mazda because of him.
The weird things that come out of it.
Oh man,
It's so
a
crazy.
good-
I mean, we had so many inside jokes, and we got each other through that job, and then bit by bit, all my friends at that job ended up leaving, and I was, of course, the last domino to fall, and then same thing happened with the previous job. it just keeps
man
happening.
standing.
I'm like,
Right
fuck
now.
this. I'm just going to go to a job that nobody works at, so this way I can't lose anybody.
I'm the fuck out of here.
But
Best thing
yeah,
that
you
ever
know,
happened to
it's been a wild journey. I mean, I've been doing the Peter Griffin thing for almost 12 years now, and it's I can't believe that it's like still relevant in a lot of ways, and that, you know, newer generations that weren't even alive yet when I started doing this stuff are like into what I'm doing, and it's just crazy. And now people come up to me and they tell me that they grew up watching my videos. I'm like, holy shit! Now I really feel fucking old. God,
That'll
what the
take
hell
you for
happened?
a loop. My God. Yeah, time has flown. It's definitely been
Old
a time
school
warp.
veteran Lightning McQueen here.
Yeah, I'm trying
Where's
to imagine.
Doc so I can, like, you know, up my game and like learn how to do that turn so I can get rich, you know? Where's Mater?
Too much.
Little Joe's in the house, by the way.
Little Joe!
He's going off in the comments
Yeah, he
right
said,
now.
don't
Oh,
be
there he
Denzel
is.
Washington.
He's praising Eric Stash. He's criticizing me for not being a Denzel Washington fan.
We can't. We don't even. We
He's
can't do that
overrated.
one.
We can't
without
even
Joe.
talk about that
We
right
can't
now.
do that
He
without
said he's
Joe.
got the. Well, we need
Joe.
Joe here to
Yes.
fucking be another
Admonish you.
hold another spear to my ribs here.
Absolutely.
We'll set up the Joe cam. We'll
Hold
do
the
it right
spirit
now.
of my
Joe,
ribs,
come over and
Jesus
sit on the
Christ
couch.
reference.
Uh,
Jesus Christ.
She's another one to string me up on the cross there. Joe also said he's got the Guinness ready for this episode.
Ah, the creamy fucking paint there,
Cheers,
buddy.
brother.
He's getting a lot of praise for the mustache. See, I can't, you know, somebody told me the other day, like, just do the mustache.
Mustache is
I
bad.
You
can't.
got to do it.
It's like the worst part of having a beard is having a mustache. in my
Unless you do
opinion.
like a handlebar
That's a
mustache.
fair length,
Yeah.
though.
This is short mustache. And It's
Yeah.
just happenstance that I have the mustache now. I'm usually never like
beard.
this. I think every time I shave or put a bic to my face, it's once every 10 years. So
Right.
it just happened to line perfectly on like this day.
It's immediately
Meant to
a
be.
cop look. It doesn't matter when you have just a mustache. You're a cop. It's like a 50-50 shot. You're a cop.
You should be wearing these sunglasses. see?
Immediate laughter right when I walk down the stairs. But for some reason, like everyone who sees it though is like, I love it. But
Love
it's just
If you
I
put
don't
my
know.
haircut and sunglasses
They're-
on his mustache,
we haven't
that's it,
had
you got a cop.
mainstream mustaches since like the 70s. That's the thing.
It's back.
It's back.
really is.
Everyone's trying to.
They're
This
trying.
guy's mustache. If he just had the mustache,
my God.
you'd look like Sam Wilson or
You
something.
look like Yosemite Sam.
Oh, I hate you, rabbit.
I look like Micah from Red Dead. It's even worse.
Micah.
I look like Micah from Red Dead.
It'd be like
man.
me
I
think
just
that's
doing
cool.
the
I don't know.
chops. If I
No,
just
you
shaved this-
implore me? I implores you.
Implores me. No, it works if it's shorter. You know, I can't keep it this length and shave everything. It's just too
Yeah,
much.
lean into it after.
You'll
a
be
while.
excited about this news.
I
I
hate
actually
that
re-downloaded Red Dead 2 onto my
very
PS5, and
nice.
It's in
maybe
everything.
we'll get some online. I haven't touched that in a long time.
We should play Red Dead Online. It's still a fun game.
Yeah, I haven't done it in a long,
Multiplayer
long
gaming
time.
right
There's
now
like
is
so
just
much I haven't done, so it'll be fresh for
Just
me.
peace.
It's out of my reach. I don't
Yeah.
have the time
No way.
to get in sync right now to fucking multiplayer game. That's one of the
But
biggest.
Red
problems
Dead
I
you
have.
can play alone. You know, you
That's
can
true.
just go when your friends
I'm
leave.
not saying I wouldn't play Red Dead to begin with, but you said let's play together. I'm like, when the fuck is that gonna
You
happen?
Stars have to
hey,
align.
get along, little doggy.
I've resigned myself to Minecraft building by myself, just like
Honestly,
back in
that seems very therapeutic. I got to
It
do
is.
that again.
Oh yeah, it's love.
Join the server, dude. We
I had a,
I will.
had,
got
oh,
it.
you got to get on his server because his server is 12 years running.
got.
This thing's been on Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4.
Is there
We've
any
built-
journeys of like carrying it and like moments of like potentially losing it?
Oh
Give
yeah,
us a story.
absolutely, dude. I mean, so it originally started as survivor mode map, and then survival mode. You couldn't even fly. There was no, creative mode where you could just place whatever you wanted. We had to mine everything.
Yeah.
And
That was the first
over the
building.
years it updated, and you could actually extend the size of it. But when I tried to transfer from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, it wouldn't go. It just failed every time, and I had to prepare myself because for about almost 2 years, I could not transfer this map, and I thought all that time was for naught. But eventually, I just tried it again one day, and it worked. And we got the server up and running. And we definitely got to keep building on it.
If anyone knows about Minecraft servers and like the time spent
Oh.
into just the things that you build or just destroy or remove,
Oh my god, bro! You know how many times I built something
it's
and I'd have to fix it by deleting like a half of it because I counted wrong. and I needed
that
things
one
to
block.
Yeah, and it
We're
looks
trying
like
to do
shit.
a circle or something like that.
The whole symmetry is off.
God,
Yeah.
Dude, making globes,
Nightmares.
making any kind
Yeah.
of circular globe-shaped thing
But
is
therapeutic.
a nightmare.
it is.
It's like
It's
you
the
have
music.
to.
That's
The
where it
music.
gets a little
Yep.
like I know you do it by math almost. You're like build by math at this
Yeah.
point, and I almost can't dial into that because it doesn't have the same repetition that just makes me mindlessly like listen to my audiobook or some music and just be like, poof.
You find a way.
Just get into the rhythm.
Yeah.
Skip to Melusian.
The
You
rhythm
got to
of
find the
night.
right direction. You get more efficient as the repetition keeps going. So
Start
you're like,
catching corners.
Ooh, yeah, we got
Catch
a
that
good
corner
groove.
just right as you're moving.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
That's
too.
the-
Sometimes it's like one off.
So yeah,
One
that,
extra
that,
block.
that should drive
No,
me
you
nuts.
have
We
when
had
you're
a
building at the scale
huge-
that I'm building at, you need to start using those formulas, the fill formulas. Like you can just instead of going
it's
bup bup
disgusting
bup
how
bup 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 bup, you can fill slash fill
Where's Phil?
PH.
PHIL. And you can just say, build me a 10 by 10 wall. You know, like you can just lay it out there and save a lot of time once you crack that stuff.
Game of Thrones. Every time I watch or listen, immediately makes me like, I want to build a castle.
Oh,
I
of
want to
course.
build.
Speaking
100%.
of, I'll
Hard
mention real
Hunt
quick, I
River-
started it on audio. So
Oh,
I
you did?
officially started Game of Thrones.
John,
I'm on the Daenerys chapter right now.
Brad.
The same
where
one?
Where she's meeting Khal Drogo. I haven't had like a whole lot of driving since I started it, so I haven't gotten to. But I took a shower and stuff. So it was like 15 minutes of the book. I'm still in the same chapter.
A Dothraki wedding without at least 3 deaths is considered a dole affair, Your Grace.
So yeah, we're running all over the map. Obviously, we got I think about 100 things to talk about. But what have
Well,
you
I
been
wanna
doing? You
start-
said you were driving everywhere, but
I mean, yeah,
Where are you
it's-
driving?
I'm like fucking Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere, man.
on a highway.
Ever since I quit my day job, I've never been so busy. It's insane.
I was
It's,
a highway man.
I just did a photo shoot with Mandy, Real Life Lois, at the Cotton Club in Harlem. Went up to White Plains for Undiscovered Realm Comic-Con and met all the live-action actors of the original Ninja Turtles movie. And
Oh, nice.
that was a crazy convention. Had
Oh,
a
so
good
you
time
saw what's
there.
his name? You saw him again.
Who's that?
Him.
Oh no, sorry, I was confused. Not Raphael. It wasn't the Raphael voice actor that we spoke with.
No.
From Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Your TV
No.
going to sleep?
That would be that was Matt Hill.
Matt Hill.
Matt
Sorry,
Hill. I actually will see again.
That's what you said.
I'm ironing out the details to be at Long Island Tropicon in August. And another friend of mine, Stephanie Nadolny, who's the voice of Kid Goku and King Gohan, the original voice, will also be there. And so we plan on hanging out. What else? I finished my scenes for the Days of Sodom Crow fan film movie. So all my scenes are shot. So I'm all wrapped on the production. I think they're going to be shooting into October or whatever. So I don't know when to expect the movie to come out. Probably not till next year if I had a guess. But that was an interesting experience. Got to go to Pennsylvania, hang out with my cousins for a little while. And then yesterday I went to the Feast of Lady Mount Carmel in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, which is a feast that my family's been going to since I think my great-grandfather started going there in 1903. So figure it's been going on. And I think it's been around since the 1880s, like late 1880s. So it's an old established feast.
Wow.
And best calzones, best zeppelas, best sausage
Zeps.
pepper sandwiches you could ever have in your entire life. It's run until Sunday. And then, it won't be back till next year.
Who'd you run into again?
So I bumped into Sal. He's known as Sal the Voice on social media, but he was on America's Got Talent. He sings
Oh, was it?
like a crooner and, like Frank Sinatra style. And I saw Sabino from the Growing Up Italian page. And it's funny because the people that are his family are friends of my family. Like they've known each other for generations and stuff. Oh, yeah. But they've known each other for a long time. In fact, I even have pictures of me in the 90s as a kid with my parents and this guy's grandmother. So it's really, the connections there. And then he was standing with that kid, Cooj, Meals by Cooj, 3-4 Maroons. Yeah, so he was there. And we ended up taking a picture together. And it turned out I found one of my cousins at the feast last year, talking about families like, oh, shit, I'm related to this one or that one. Because that's the way Williamsburg and Greenpoint are. Everybody's connected like a Lego set in that neighborhood.
Of course, it was, yeah.
And
a few hundred families that all came from that area.
That's it. So he's actually one of the ones that lifts this statue. It's an Italian tradition brought over from Nola, Italy, where they pick up this huge statue and they dance it through the streets with a full band and they play music and it's wild. You got to see this kind of thing. It's something to experience. But the food is like 90% of the reason to go. I mean, Jesus, I get sick from calzones, and I pay the price every time just because it's worth it.
Did she have the crown?
She didn't have his crown. It's probably loosely based on something like that because there is a statue of Our Lady of Mount Carmel because that's the name of the church that runs this feast. And she does have, the crown and stuff because Blessed Mother Mary and stuff. So it probably is something like that because they have similar feasts in Jersey, so it's all connected. But it was a very, very good time.
See what you did there.
What's that? Help. Hulkamania. Speaking of.
Oh, jeez.
But, yeah, I had such a good time and came home late last night and engorged myself with Zeppelins and my last calzone for the year because that's the only place you can get them because they fry them there. It's really... Go there expecting to gain like 20 pounds.
I mean, sausage and peps.
Between the sodium and all that shit, it's...
Yeah,
But it's nice.
Need a probiotic before, probiotic after.
You got to take the acid reflux pills when you get home. Forget it.
Prop a pillow, sleep upright.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Sleep, yeah.
Don't go to bed right away.
Won't wake up.
Oh, Maron. And then, as far as adventures... the next one, I think I'm going to be heading tomorrow to Jersey to Collecticon to try to see Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime. That's kind of like my reason to go. But I got to have to keep my eyes open on the appearances because apparently that whole Microsoft glitch shut down all the airports, and a lot of these stars can't even get here.
What is that shit? I only heard about that briefly.
Steve Bloom already canceled his appearance because he was sitting in an airport for like 5 hours, and then they
What happened?
Canceled all planes. They grounded all planes.
Cybersecurity update pushed by a company. CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity company. They do enterprise level cybersecurity, and they pushed a Windows update to pushed a security patch that is a Windows update that ended up bricking all the computers.
Yep.
So it fucked up the It either fucked up the firmware or...
Isn't that crazy how widespread? Let's just push the update. It makes it sound like someone just was sitting at a computer and just pressed the button and then took out all of America.
Yeah. It sounds like Y2K was supposed to.
That's what they said. I was hearing a lot of that today. That's the problem with monopolies.
But if this is Y2K, it's not too bad.
When you have such a concentration of operating system or companies providing them, it didn't affect Linux, it didn't affect Mac. It was specifically a Windows thing, but Enterprise is hosted on Windows because it's cheaper. It's such a...
Well, I saw Amazon Web Services was also a part of it, which I'm sure
it's like everything too.
Yeah.
AWS,
every single company is using Amazon Web Servers.
Yes, we have a centralized internet. None of the internet is decentralized, so it shows you how easily that was just a mistake.
It's true.
It's not an on-purpose attack. That's not like anything. And boom, all your airports are shut down. It's a security patch software update. I mean,
somebody's getting
that's
fired.
A fucking vulnerability. If you didn't just highlight one of the biggest vulnerabilities in the U.S. economy,
Russia,
with one button. I don't know. That's a wake-up call. That's a lucky thing to happen because it's like, oops.
But
it's
innocent.
also,
whoopsie.
Hey, what the fuck are you going to do to fix that long term? That's not good because it has such a staggering effect. It has an absolute domino effect across the economy.
It was like billions of dollars, I would assume.
Oh,
tens of billions of dollars.
That guy canceled his flight, the hotel, everything, all that, just the staggering effect it has. So
isn't that funny? Like, you remember about a year ago, like that giant shipping container that like just jammed up the Suez Canal.
Oh, yeah.
and like totally
Right.
stopped like
Right.
all of the economy of the world pretty much passed.
I think we have our imagination says these things are more complex.
They're really not.
They're not.
Yeah.
It's really still a very
Yeah.
simple system.
human error
and
is.
I think we let technology and the magic of it all mask what's really happening behind the scenes, but it's manpower and it's just sheer will that these things happen. It's not a sophisticated. Everything's operating as efficient as possible, which usually means as cheap as possible, which means you're not really worried about redundancy unless it's forced through regulation or safety means. You're just like, hey, these boats that probably shouldn't be going through there, whatever. I don't even remember the circumstances of why that happened, but the one that hit the bridge,
Yeah.
fucking,
That was
loses
fun.
power, hits a bridge, boom, there you go. That's
Yep.
just like that. That's done.
It kind of makes me think about too. What was it? Sony saying that they're eventually getting rid of Blu-ray, and I was reading something
didn't hear
about
that.
back to floppy disk, and you'd be surprised about how many companies actually are still using floppy disks to like power like their systems.
Wow.
Yeah, there's how many are never upgraded
Yeah,
past a
never
certain
upgrade,
point.
Just
They're like, yeah, we're just gonna. It still works.
Yeah.
Don't break it. Don't fix it if it ain't broken. Yeah, I don't like. It's funny that cube you said. So Chris, you didn't hear that Sony's gonna like stop their manufacturing on Blu-ray.
I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a Blu-ray. So
I would say that the cause for
Everything's streaming.
concern would be you mix the event of today with there's no physical media. Then what?
yeah, if you have an outage, you lose everything.
Then you never own anything.
Oh.
I mean, it's
Oh.
like it was before there was tapes and all this shit. People went to the movies to watch a movie, and then if it wasn't on television, they never saw it again.
If it all disappears, you'll revert back to that. It's like, might as well keep those DVDs.
I still have
and
a
see,
fuck ton of DVDs. I want for nothing when it comes to
I immediately
media.
thought of like a list of 10 movies that I need to buy on Blu-ray. I need an offline Blu-ray player.
I mean, you need a nice collection anyway, right?
It's true.
You gotta get
Still need the
gotta
physical.
get the good ones, right?
Phil's good about that.
Star
Phil's
Wars,
got-
Indiana Jones. I got all that stuff on Blu-ray.
there you go.
In fact,
So-
I even found a guy. So I won't out any names or where I got it, but I found a guy that sells the untouched versions of Star Wars for $20 on a Blu-ray. All the untouched, all three of them on one disc.
Government's listening.
And yeah, well, they don't know where it came from. It fell off a truck. And they also did the chronological order Godfather collection that they did on HBO years ago, where it starts in Sicily and then goes to old New York, and then it starts the original Godfather. So it takes the best parts of Godfather 2 and puts it before the original Godfather, which is fucking awesome.
That's good. It's good. Yeah.
We got some more supporting evidence here from Phil Dunphy. He said Sony is going to stop manufacturing of writable Blu-rays, but not movies to Blu-ray.
Hallelujah. That's
so just blank Blu-rays.
It makes a good point there because I was saying this to somebody. We live in the age of fear. So every headline is
Buy
fear
gold.
inducing.
What
Yeah,
are they
fear.
taking away from us this time? You know,
Every airport was on lockdown, gridlock. It was Delta, and it was like American. It was like 2 or 3
Yeah,
United.
something like that.
There were other airlines still flying. Things were still moving, but it's just the sheer panic and fear-inducing headline writing of the internet. Because all that matters is engagement. We live in the age of engagement, positive or negative. It's engagement. They tell you go fuck yourself. If we have viewers who are like, we fucking hate you, die, but they're watching and they're commenting, YouTube's like, we love this
Send
fucking
more.
channel.
Send more traffic. Put them at the top of the feed.
more.
We really live in an era of I don't know, fear. It's like everything has to be a panic, fear-inducing headline, or it doesn't hit with
How many
people.
more records do I have to break? More records.
More records, more fear.
Joe had a good question. I had the same question, so I'm going to ask it. He said, how much capacity does a floppy disk even, like, what's the max capacity that a floppy disk can go to?
We're talking
Terabytes, right?
I think it was.
I don't think it goes to.
it was 3.5, and I think it was.
I think it was megabytes.
I think it was 4 to 8 megabytes.
You think did they have gigabyte
was
floppy
not
disks?
gigabyte.
No.
That's not.
I was
No,
saying megabyte if anything.
You'd be like
Take up a room.
512 kilobyte. It would be like a 512
Yeah.
kilobyte disk was probably the standard. Let's just.
And wasn't it not even really a disc? It's like a film or something. Because I
It's a
remember you
yeah,
could
it
like
is a
move
film.
the
kind of like a
thing.
tape, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a
Exactly.
tape type of thing.
Magnetic tape.
Well, my
that's
Apple
how-
IIc worked the same
And the
way.
metal shield would like move away, and the reader would, the laser would read through.
Play with
but-
it in class, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. You
Dust up
turn
the whole
thing.
shit.
Flip the little silver thing off.
I remember that in
disk.
tech class. You used to have to ask your parents to get you a floppy disk.
800
Aging us
kilobytes.
appropriately.
Yeah,
You have to go to
Yeah.
fucking Staples or some shit to get
Dial up internet.
800
When I was a
kilobytes to
kid, I
2.8.
used to have to sign on. 800 kilobytes to 2.8 megabytes.
We used to get
There
the
you go.
internet and discs in the mail.
Yeah, that's also one thing I love when people bitch about current day technology. Like, oh, it's not even that good, or blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you know it's gonna get better, right? Like everything consistently just gets better and better as long as there's economics behind it. Everything technology just will progress. So whatever we have now, there will be a better, lighter, faster version of it in 5 years.
Yeah.
Everything, and you're like, how can you not see that?
Maybe not me.
We still stuck with the.
Oh, jeez. So, Eric, what did you bring with you today?
Oh, we're jumping to that?
Yeah, why not?
I'll show it. So yeah, it's my my degenerative hobby that I've picked up over the past. I don't know. It's been a while now. So
How long
maybe
has it
maybe 4 years.
I think it started with the pandemic,
COVID,
with the,
yeah.
with the,
Yeah,
with the
COVID
probably
rise,
around
yeah.
there. But when everyone else was like, "Oh wait, I have nothing else to do. Let me just rip through my closet and see what I have." So yeah,
Start ordering things on the internet.
this was not from my closet back then,
Never
but
mind.
it is a bunch of my Japanese Pokemon cards that I've been collecting over the course
Choice.
of time.
Primarily what I go for.
And it's funny because I feel like I started with a simple binder. Maybe I had about I don't know, maybe 100 cards total. Now these are 2, but I have 12 more of these at home, plus another 4 binders, and then a whole top shelf of sealed products that I may or may not rip open. So yeah, just kind of brought a few.
I love how clean
Show 'em
and
off.
organized it is, and then I think about my own collection all shoved in the fucking boxes and shit. It's terrible.
Now, have you been collecting since you straight from childhood, or did you stop for many years, a lot of I did, and then get back into it?
Stopped for many years. I wish I didn't. When I think about it, and I think
Yeah.
about some of those cards, some of the eras that I missed.
Yeah.
But
going
yeah,
back.
I'm trying to think of the last cards that I was collecting up until that point. It had to be up until Team Rocket, relatively early. I think it was, I
actually
think it was
broke
when the
one of
games
those
started
packs
coming
at a
out, just
con.
moving on to the games instead.
I went to a con a couple of years back on Long Island, and Rip and Ship Arena was there, and they had original Team Rocket cards, and I fucking broke them on stream for them. So I got to open up an original Team Rocket pack.
Well, that's
Couple
what
of
got
years
me
ago,
back
which
into
was
the
awesome.
cards. Rip and Ship Arena giving us free cards to open on the show, and it was the 20-year anniversary of Pokemon. So it was the original cards just re-released,
Yep.
and the smell was really the primary thing that got me back into it. Was ripping that open and smelling that again.
It's like the new toy smell when you buy action figures, and it's that plastic. It's it's a euphoric
Yeah.
feeling. It's
poisonous,
it-
probably.
it brings you right back to a time and place where
A nice dopamine
it
kick,
was
a little bit of happiness going on.
It brings you happiness because the new toy, it's always an exciting experience, and that smell almost becomes synonymous with the experience because smells and tastes and sights and sounds are very much tied to memories.
They say
Instantly
your memories are most tied to your sense of smell, apparently.
Instantly unlock memories.
Yeah. And the Japanese ones are cooler, I think, collecting because they're more generous. You get more holographic cards with the Japanese.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if that's always a thing, but the last couple of generations that I started collecting again, you get 4 holographics.
And you can typically get more for
That's-
less because they're not playable in America because you
They're
have
not
to be able to
playable,
read the language of the cards. Say you actually spoke Japanese, you can technically use those cards, but you have to be able to speak the language of the card, the language on the card. So they're not used for gaming. A lot of people go into those tournaments and stuff like that. So this is strictly for collecting purposes. So that's why a lot of
At
people
least here, yeah.
just get the Japanese cards here.
It's funny you say that about the holographics. Japanese consumers are very obsessed with getting their money's worth. Everything about them is they want to feel like they got value out of the purchase.
Well, you think about the packs. The Japanese packs usually contain much less cards, 5, 6 cards in a pack, compared to English packs. I think it's 11, 12.
There
They
are.
give you more
I feel
junk.
like for the more recent, the most recent generation, they were doing that where I got a box and it was like, I don't remember, it was like 30 packs of cards that it was opening, but each one of them had like 3 cards in it or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
It's a little ridiculous. I was like, why am I opening so many of these packs?
Americans want quantity.
Quantity, yeah.
It's not quality necessarily. We feel like we didn't get our money's worth if we don't get enough quantity. That's why Big Mac, you know, the value, you know, all that stuff. It's all wrapped up in size and quantity.
Yeah.
But if you open up a Japanese pack, it has whatever 5 cards, but
Well, they'll
2
do
are
like
holographic. It's
they'll
much
do like the holographic, the reverse hollows, and then they have like, I don't know what you call them, like those texture kind of cards where like they're not really holographic. They're kind of like super smooth, like
Reverse
almost
hollows?
they're not even. They're like glossy, and they'll have like a monogram kind of printed over them. I don't know. If they have like some different types of cards beyond just holographic that I've seen. It's kind
Yeah.
of like a glossy, high gloss,
See if I can
smooth card.
Now,
I got-
wait,
I got
how
everything
many
here.
of those cards came from packs and how many came from purchasing them from a seller?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, probably more purchasing singles
Yeah.
versus packs because these are all like of like my like higher end collection things
And
I've
you
been
learn, you
trying
got
to collect.
if you
I
got
have this entire section right here since I'm a huge like Cubone like Marowak fan. That just consists of just all Cubones.
All them.
man.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I admired about you showed me a package that you got from them. I love that they write like a handwritten note. The way they wrap the envelope is
Oh, if you're buying from like a Japanese seller,
it's immaculate,
oh, it's art every time you get something.
You're
They like
just
take
like-
such care
dude.
when sending a piece of
Oh
mail.
yeah.
The stationery, everything is like, oh wow. Again, getting my money. Like there's a quality behind this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
It's so impressive.
Even like the shipping labels are cool.
Washi tape.
They're like, you know, like they look like they're handwritten.
My girlfriend Sam got so into Japanese stationery, Japanese paper.
Oh
This whole like culture that they have these stationery stores, and they have really like they're all about organization too. I say that.
Yeah.
You know, it's about like
There's a thoughtfulness I think that goes into it that you don't like always see, like down even to like a simple like buying a card that is $10 that's coming across the world, but they still wrap it up in like 3 different types of paper, put a handwritten note in there, make sure it's protected, and I don't know, it's like something special.
They
There's
fill
pride.
they
There's
fill
pride
the
in the
empty
work.
space in the box with like, you know, suitable packing stuff too. Like there's no gaps in the box so that the cards
doesn't
rattle
always
around in
extras too, always goodies on top of it.
there. Yeah, they'll put a
stickers
little
or
Easter egg.
something.
Stickers, yeah.
Candy
something like
I've gotten too, you know,
Like a
little
random
pieces of
card.
candy.
that's something to admire. That's a good. I love that stuff. That it's funny. I see those videos of like ships crossing the ocean.
Yeah.
And they'll, of
Crashing
course,
in the night.
they'll put they'll put the little tagline like, "Oh yeah, my one Pokemon card crossing the ocean to get to my house because
Get stuck at the
Singular
Panama
one.
Canal. Where the fuck
Oh
is my
no,
cards?
Team Rocket strikes again.
can't believe how
It's all
shitty
conspiracy.
things are. I could one click a fucking
Fucking
unique Pokemon
assholes.
from Japan with what a shitty. I hate it. It sucks. Everything's falling apart.
You
I will
use
say
Japan
though that
figure?
the,
I started with Japan figure. From there, I've kind of gone multiple ways into different like vendors, and then Japanese cards were actually a little bit harder to get 4 years ago. With the craze too, there was definitely like an uptick on like just price, even with those as well. I remember, with Japan figure, you have to pay like $20 shipping no matter
Yeah,
what.
it's
So
a
like
little-
if you're gonna buy, you wanna
You want to do a big
Got it in
haul.
bulk
do
or
a big
something.
haul at once. And I think the boxes at the time were, I think they retail in Japan for like maybe like $30-$40 in US dollars. But like 4 years ago, they were like $100, $120, getting higher. And I'm like, eventually you're just like, I'm not paying
VMAX and V Star.
4 or 5 times the
those
price
are the
for this
worst.
box.
The yellow boxes and all
That's
that stuff.
crazy.
On top of
So much
$20
money.
shipping just to, you know, not get, I don't know, like, you know, a decent amount for what it is. But now it's actually been a lot more accessible. Everything's kind of like back down. Even you can get like retail Japanese prices in the U.S. and get free shipping on top of it now. So I don't.
Gotcha.
Are those
kinda died down.
Giratinas still worth something that I sold you?
No, those have plummeted in value.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
you made out like a,
Wiped
a
out.
I think at a
bandit on
time
that one.
of NFTs and all that shit, like 2019, 2020, it was like big run up in kind of, I don't know, like, what would you call it? Collectibles craze. Everybody was trying to find the next.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Right?
it's true. It was definitely a boring. Yeah, God, that was.
But yeah, kind of just stuck. You know, really. And then I kind of got into going into other weird stuff, right? Like Pokemon cards that became out before base set. So things over in Japan that were like, pre that era, and kind of like getting into like more obscure, like weirder cards.
Yeah.
Japan has like their vending series cards that are like not in English, that never came over to America, so they're not in English. So I've been like buying more of those cards. So things that are kind of like on the edge cases for stuff.
Unique.
Yeah. So
That's
that's like where I've been kind of like picking and choosing.
Getting to the pro level of collecting.
It's
I
interesting.
guess
I
you
heard
could
that
call
the
it.
creator actually based Pokemon on his bug collection from his childhood. Because he used to collect bugs, and that's kind of like where it started. And that's why you got like Caterpie and Metapod and characters like that. Because he actually was a bug collector and implemented that idea into Pokemon when he invented it. I read this whole thing about it.
Pocket Monsters. The funny connection
Check it out.
that Pocket Monsters has to Beanie Babies. Funny enough, the woman, there's a young lady who helped establish Beanie Babies as a craze.
Yeah.
And she had advised them to not go like OD, like don't flood the market. They basically went again. There's a whole story behind Beanie Babies and the failure.
Well, they made a whole movie about it, didn't they?
Yeah, which is hilarious. This is where I learned this little factoid was that movie. And at the end of the movie, the girl, she was like a college grad, young college kid. She learned what she could, and when she left Beanie Babies, she got hired by a little company in Japan called Pocket Monsters, and they were going to launch a whole series of cards, and she joined that team, and she's been working with Pokemon ever since.
I love that picture of the husband and wife in divorce court splitting up the Beanie Baby collection in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
That was the NFTs of our childhood. That was definitely one of those things.
Wait, so these are like beta cards?
Pre-Pokemon
They're not beta cards. They're
first
I
print.
don't want to get it wrong, but they're definitely it's definitely card sets. I don't know if those are card-ass cards, but different company before they actually came out with what
Before
you
they
would consider base set. Yeah.
Before they became the Pokemon company.
Right.
That's crazy. I mean, Squirtle looks different,
So you get some of those really like old school artworks on
The
those.
Charmander. Char.
Now, is there if you had to put a bounty out on a card right now, is there a card that you're like pursuing that has been eluding you?
Well, there's this one. This is like one of them. So CD promo, Japanese Charizard. I've been trying to find one of these in really good condition, and this is what I was telling you with my buddy Windfall Cards. He goes to Japan on somewhat of a recurring basis, right? So like he went over there and was like going through the different shops, and I told him like, if you could try to find the best quality like CD promo Charizard you can for me, because I want to try and grade it to get a PSA 10 on that. So this is definitely one of those grails on there, and I did send it in, and it got a 7, which is terrible. So that's why I cracked it. It looks like this. I'm resending it back in because I got it wrong.
Is a 7 that
Wrong.
terrible?
It's really not. A 7 is
You're
actually
wrong.
considered near mint, but
You'd say anything.
based on like the grading and like what's on this card, there's no way. And there's definitely like a level of like variance. There's you could check it out on Instagram too, YouTubers. There's scenarios where people will send in cards like 3-4 times and get different grades over and over again.
There's no
Just-
quality.
That sucks.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
even fake ones that get like 10s, and it's like, gotta be kidding. Like, where's the quality control?
Well, yeah, there's individual graders. Everyone kind of has. There's guidelines for like what should be graded what, but you think about like there's some of the most like minute little differences, different scratches, damage, and like how do you go from like a 9 to a 10, etc. So like, a lot of the stuff that goes into it, that's like really hard to see is how's the surface condition, how's the edges, how are the corners, so there's a lot involved into it, and yeah, I guess that's where like a lot of the variance comes in. But for like a card like that, I need to.
You could open a brand new deck of cards and like
It won't be perfect.
it could not be a 10, because I guess it could have just gotten warped in the box or whatever.
And I think that was the big thing with the whole craze back, like, pandemic, when everyone was buying cards. They're thinking, I'm ripping all these cards clean. They're all 10s. Everyone's sending stuff in, and they're just coming back 7s, 8s, 6s. And like, how is this even possible? But it's like much more than that. You could have there were sets that were known to have really poor quality coming out of printing, that it would be like impossible to get something that would be considered a 10. And stuff like that, would actually drives up the price of the card. So if someone did find something where like,
It
one
made it
example of
through.
this, it made it through, and like for some reason the quality for that one card really did well. Like a really big thing is like centering. There's always like you always need to make sure like the centering for a card for those borders has to be, I think like the variance is like 60-40
Really?
off the side. So if it's anything worse than that, then you're gonna get dinged on that. And a lot of
And that's
cards back
totally
in-
out of your control. That's
out of your control. Yeah, if it's just printed wrong, then you're never gonna get.
I
a
thought
on it.
that might increase the value because I was in like I don't know I saw on Facebook somewhere where they had the card was like it looked like it was cut like halfway between two cards.
Well, there are errors too. So like,
Yeah.
they would consider those error cards, weird things like that between cards.
There was a
Maybe
big
they-
counterfeiting
yeah.
thing with that, where people were printing them on purpose wrong and sending them into the PSA, and the PSA was counting them as error cards. And I saw even a whole nother thing where like they were wiping off the art on the front of the card and using an actual Pokemon card, like whatever holographic or whatever, and then putting whatever image they want and selling it as a different card.
Yeah,
There's
that's
all
crazy.
kinds of crazy
Oh,
stuff.
I'm
There's
sure
no
there's all kinds of scams.
They will not pull any punches trying to scam people.
But the
with
awesome
Pokemon
thing
cards.
is with the error cards, they have such value because there's collectors for everything. People collect just PSA ones. They want the grungiest booger like covered cards
Yeah.
in PSA 1, and like they'll collect that. They'll collect error cards. They'll collect cards that have the holographic swirls. More swirls that you can find on the card, like those actually bring up value because there's specific collectors, niche markets that like just
What do you mean
love
squirrels?
that. Swirls. You know, they
Swirls.
have like the
Oh.
swirls and the hollows.
Yeah, the textures.
Yeah.
whatever.
So I think there's some guy on Instagram called Swirl Collector. He just constant posts of just like
The swirliest.
just like the swirliest cards. Funny enough.
I
like
love those
to-
ugly ones that you got from the artist. The funny looking Pokemon cards that are not actual official ones.
Oh my god, yeah.
Those were a lot of fun.
I completely forgot the names of those, but they're in one of my binders. It's definitely an artist that does those, and he, she, they, like whoever they are, they kind of come and go in the Instagram accounts, which is the craziest thing. They're like their Instagram is like typically blocked or
Like
like
the
turned
Banksy
off.
of Pokemon cards.
All the posts are gone. They'll come back and like launch like a new set of packs of cards.
Shit.
And their own artwork. The cards are legitimate too. They look gorgeous. Like the quality is perfect.
I love the litany
I've
you
seen
gave
some
me.
of
That's
those
the
where
best.
they like paint
Oh, that's the
some
one I had.
crazy.
Yeah, they're like kind of like they're like
the
spoofy
Dragonite.
cards. The funny thing is, if you actually like translate the Japanese, it's not like what you think
Ever.
is being said on those either. They're pretty funny. But yeah, I have a whole binder of those. I should have brought those.
Those are a lot
Those
of
are
fun.
fun.
I
Those
know,
are actually
too,
very
they-
valuable too, just for like it's very obscure artists. But if you try to go on eBay or something like that, those cards are like $50, $100+ for
No
some
shit.
singular cards, and it's just
Wow.
like some random person
That's
who made
so
them.
I'm telling you, it's Banksy of Pokemon World.
Kind of, yeah.
It's
Actually, it's
weird,
kind of
man.
like
Nobody
that.
knows who they are.
I know that they
Big.
have like the Master Ball ones. I have like 2 or 3 of those where like in each box they would give you like, and it's not necessarily even anybody that good, but it has like a monogram of the Master Ball printed over like the whole card in like a kind of holographic type of thing.
That's interesting.
They have a lot of like just cool outlier type of things that there really is something for everybody.
I used to
I've-
like.
I've-
There was one of the arts of the original run. There was a Slowpoke in that art, and then I don't know if you remember the Goop Gas Attack card from the original run. Whatever art style that was, very cartoony, very light colored,
I know
very
what you're talking
simplistic. I love that kind of art style. So like, I used to like to try to find cards with that art style.
There's I have like a
They
simple
even came back, I think, for the new
drawing
one.
style. It's like I forget the guy's name. I'm gonna sound like an
Johan?
asshole saying whatever I think it is, but it's like one of like the original artists, and it's a simple like black and white, almost like a sketch of each Eevee evolution. What is it?
Unigaba.
Unigaba.
Yeah.
There you go. So I got all of his.
You have all of those? Those
I
are
had-
great.
I got every one of those things. I mean, some of them most of them I ordered individually, but yeah, those ones are pretty cool. And I have I think I have a Pikachu from him too.
Yeah,
I
they
used to
the
have a whole
Pikachu one
collection
as
of
well.
Pikachu from the original run when I was a kid. I had like the one in the forest. I had the original Chunky Pikachu in both English and Japanese. I had because that was my favorite Pokemon back in the day.
Pikachu
So
was?
He was, yeah.
And
back
now
in the day.
Litten or what's his name?
Incineroar. Incineroar is definitely my favorite now.
I have a couple of favorites.
Fire Wrestling Cat. Come on, it's fucking awesome. But it's funny how still profound it is, because I remember being in like 4th grade and like I was the only kid that didn't have like Pokemon cards, because I didn't, I wasn't a card collector. Even my brother tried to get me into like baseball cards when I was younger, and I was like just not into it. But then everybody was like, "Oh, you don't have a Pokemon card and whatever," and like somebody took pity on me and gave me like an energy card, and then like I traded that for a Trainer Bill card, and then it was like the first card like I had. And then I begged my parents to take me to, back in the day, it was called Cards in Comic City.
Oh, Cards in Comic City. That's where,
And,
that was
I
it.
used to,
dude.
I
My
used
place
to get
too.
my Pokemon cards there. They charged $11 a pack because of the hype of Pokemon at the time. And we got card
still expensive now.
packs when, I know, I'm telling you, they really took us over.
Gouge as shit.
Yeah, but I bought these cards. I had, like a binder of them. I used to keep them in the little sleeves, and I had them in numerical order, and I would skip a spot if there wasn't if I didn't have that one. So if I got them, I would just put them in there. And it was funny because my brother went to school for journalism at the time, and he interned at Channel 11. And they ended up having this Pokemon event, and they had a folder of the TV show, and there was a card in there, and like all kinds of promo stuff. So I ended up slipping that folder into the front of that 3-ring binder, and that was the front cover of my Pokemon collection. I had that for years, and then I got rid of it.
I think after the baby Beanie Baby thing, my mom was like, no more fucking collectibles.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Fuck Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I want to, I like the art. I love the artwork that they would do, and the cards. Everything was like,
So hard to buy when you were a kid.
Yeah.
So hard.
right. Yeah.
But I can rest comfortable knowing I
parents.
never had any of the crazy valuable cards.
How many
Oh, I did.
kids?
I think the
parents
most
threw
valuable
away-
card I ever had was the Japanese Misty card, where she's holding the star.
I have it in here right now. You want to see?
Oh,
That
that's
was
cool.
that was the only
There you
one that
go.
I had. I think it's like a $200 card now or something like that. But that's the only card I had. I didn't have Charizard. I didn't have Blastoise. I didn't have Venusaur. I mean, I had like a
I
Dark
got all of them.
Dragonite. I had the 3 legendary birds. I had the Mewtwo from the movie. And the little
That's
think
that's my favorite
Egyptian
card.
Mew.
I love the ancient Mew, or Egyptian Mew.
Yeah.
I think it's ancient Mew.
I
but
had
either
that
way,
one, too.
Love that card because it was like fully holographic. I remember like getting every one of those. I remember when I got Blastoise, I was like, finally, like somebody threw me a bone because
I actually wanted Blastoise
friends
more
had
than Charizard
Charizard.
because he's blue.
I wanted Charizard, but my 2 best friends got Charizard, and I'm like, Jesus, give me something. And then I got Blastoise, so I was like, good, all right, good. Water against fire, something. I remember, I told the story in the show at one point. I stole my Venusaur. There he is.
Right.
I remember like seeing that, the glint of like the green and the blue, like, yes, one of the major 3.
You like that video? Remember the video with the kid flipping out? He's like, Blastoise!
Yeah,
He's like, gonna
yeah.
die.
Dude, and then the Venusaur I stole from that kid who was an asshole, and he had like 3 of them. So I
He's
stole
admitting
them.
it now. So.
I admit it. It's one of the few things I ever
It's
It's
stole.
like,
in
I
my
want
life, but
financial compensation.
Your cards
The
are
card's worth
safe there.
$10,000 now.
I got the Venusaur that way, and I never actually got the Charizard. I ended up. Oh, that's like the second version of it, right? Or
This is the CD promo Blastoise. These came with, I think these came with the games in Japan.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
They were the promos for that. This also has a swirl.
that's
Swirl.
cool.
But yeah,
Hey, nice swirl.
paid
I think
$100
my
paid
most-
$100 for this.
Jesus.
Damn.
My most valuable collectible turns out to be a PS1 copy of Silent Hill, but it's an original press, so it has something that got edited out of the game later. There's like a scene where you're killing like demonic children.
How did you find out that was something like unique?
Funny
Like
enough,
now.
I was going through bins. I had to move all these bins out of the barn in Massachusetts. So when I was doing it, you can't help it, start peeling open lids, and
Right.
I was like, oh, is the disc in here? And I was like, oh, disc. Got the game book. Only thing is that the CD jewel case is busted, of course, right at the hinge, like every other one ever.
I'll swap it out.
No one would know.
No one would know. So anyway, I was like doing that. I was going on my phone, just kind of like, oh, I wonder if this is worth it. How much is this Game Gear worth? I have a Game Gear with 12 games.
Right.
So it turns out this thing like $250, $300 people want for this fucking disc, and I was like, cool,
Wow.
I'm just gonna sit on this forever because
Old
it's
games.
unchangeable.
Yeah.
It has something that was removed from the game that can't be added back. So I was like, oh, sweet.
That's
It's
crazy.
probably the most expensive individual collectible off the top of my head. I don't
Just a
even
cool
know.
piece. It's like, yeah.
Oh, it's great. I have it
Great
right on my
story, too.
shelf.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Have
So,
you
no.
ever digitally indexed your like? I use an app called like Collector, and it'll tell you like the fair market value or whatever of all the cards.
So I used. I guess I currently use Collector. There's a handful of other ones. There's also like one that's like just a simple like web one called like Poke Collector. That one's actually a really nice like interface. Funny enough, like Leonhardt, big YouTuber, Pokemon guy, love him or hate him. Like he started up his own app called Rare Candy, and they just started adding a component like a 2.0 version of the app where you're able to kind of scan your cards on the fly and like add your collection that way. And it's pretty quick. You could have like multiple cards, and you don't even have to wait for each one to load. You just kind of could scan rapid fire and like
Recognizes them?
And it could like
And it- yeah.
detect it with AI or whatever.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Wow.
It recognizes if it's a raw card, exactly what it is. If it's in a PSA slab or it's graded in any way,
Oh, wow.
it'll also recognize that and
That's insane.
That's
capture all that
crazy.
information. So that just came out a couple days ago. So I've been starting
Rare
to like,
candy.
Yeah, Rare Candy.
Interesting.
Next level.
I just don't know if I want to go through like all that again,
It's
indexing
pretty
everything.
terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. I feel like every time I try to go for it, I always get about like, I don't know, 5-10%. I'm like, I can't do this.
Too
Starts to
much.
get.
I don't even wanna
I
know.
mean, they make it easy because you could just put the code in at the bottom. There's always like a 069 slash
That alone
whatever.
is hundreds of cards, so it's like
Yeah. Well,
you
I only
have-
do it for the holographics.
I do it for the stuff that's really important. So like for that one, I'm only putting my graded cards
Yeah.
on there. Keep track
Gotcha.
of those.
What percentage of those would you say are graded?
None of these are graded here.
Well, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
It's like,
that's
I'm not
smart.
bringing
Of your
those since-
collection.
Very, very little. Grading's like pretty expensive
Yeah.
to send in for these things. It's actually grown really quickly over like the past couple of months just because of sites like Rare Candy, discovering another app called Alt, where they have like live auctions for different slabs and whatnot. So I've been kind of more exposed to being able to purchase more slabs. And I probably have about 30 PSA slabbed cards. So yeah, nothing too crazy. But some of those are like my most expensive cards. One of my like prized possessions in those was actually like, one of my childhood cards. I had a Blaine's Charizard
Oh.
from the I think it was like the team set. It was a Japanese one too. For some reason I had like a small collection of Japanese cards
I'm
back
sure
when
somebody had packs imported.
yeah,
like packs
they
back
were
then.
brought over, had those. So like it was
Oh,
one
I
of,
remember this one.
yeah, exactly that one. So
I could get it on the show here.
that card stayed with me my entire get graded, and it got a PSA 10.
Ooh,
So I was like pat on back to little Eric
That's
on that
cool.
one.
Wow.
Sells for like $500.
Ooh, okay,
Wow.
okay. Okay. Damn.
Show crash.
Oh, we crashed the whole stream.
Uh-oh.
Show. Hold on. We're back.
We might be there.
We're back, I think.
Hey guys, I don't know if you can see us, but
Yeah, there we go. I think. Can you hear us?
like I said,
Never mind.
it's a house of cards. The whole
Yeah,
show's
it's a
running
house.
on a.
I know what it is.
Sorry, we got that Mac Studio over there. We got to boot up.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I think now if I do it, it's safe. No. All right. Well, we tried.
Crashed the
We
show.
tried. We tried to show Blaine's
Crowd
Charizard.
strikes again.
You know what I like to just while we're talking about them, I recently bought some like when McDonald's was doing the Pokeballs and they were like the
Yeah.
gold slabs.
I have a couple of those.
Yeah. I got a couple
Mewtwo
of
and
those.
Pikachu? No, Mewtwo and Blast?
Charizard, Pikachu.
They had Charizard, Mewtwo.
Mewtwo and Charizard are the ones I do have. Yeah.
Those are the ones I got, yeah. And actually, I ended up talking to the guy on eBay, and he ended up selling me like a bunch of the ball things that they came in, which is
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
funny.
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
mine's broken. It always stays open. I don't know
All
why.
the pieces.
Well, then they
are
got
like,
banned
yeah,
too
it's
because kids were
spring-loaded
putting them over
open.
their face and choking. So
There you go.
yeah,
You're
There's
swallowing
something
the
about
gold
the
bars.
groove,
It's
like,
also made of asbestos, probably.
that's it, you know?
Yeah. Well, and they like came in like those acrylic casings too. You know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Those are
things
awesome cars.
sick.
They like hold some value. I think they sell for like 30, 40
Yeah.
bucks.
Yeah, they're up. I actually I have it was like a GameStop, but you never want to buy Pokemon cards from GameStop. By the way, they like jack up the price for some
buy
reason.
anything
They
from
never
GameStop.
go down in
Rip and
price.
Ship, that's your spot.
Rip and
Or
Ship
on-
Arena
Rip and Ship,
on
of
Deer
course,
Park
yeah,
Avenue,
yeah.
Deer Park, New York.
And they actually have Japanese cards too, which is pretty cool. Because I've gone to a lot of shops, like Pokemon card shops, and a lot of times they don't have Japanese cards.
They really don't.
But Rip and Ship will. But GameStop had I think it's Arceus, and it's like a metal card. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
I got a couple like things that ones that I really cherish.
God only knows
My
what the
Mew
fuck I'm
too.
sitting on. Even just like non-Pokemon collectibles that like I don't even know like what they're worth. I was having a
We got an
casual
index.
conversation with him one day about pins, and he
That's
was talking about
that is my current
the pins
terrible
at like
addiction.
Disney World and stuff.
Pins?
Pens.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's
Got it.
funny because my Aunt Sue
So
had
I'll
gone.
give you the why I got into that.
So my Aunt Sue had gone to like Disney like I don't know like 15 years ago and bought a bunch of pins and gave them to me, and I lost most of them. They're all somewhere. Like it's not like I would have gotten rid of them.
Misplaced
But one of them I found
somewhere.
and it was this like
Indiana
kind of
Jones.
large like Millennium Falcon one. I was like, oh, like I found this Millennium Falcon pin, and just for shits and giggles, he looks this fucking thing up. It's like a $250 pin.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It's like
Yeah,
one of like
so-
100 or something. You said it's like what?
Oh yeah, it's this limited series only at the park pin. Start when I guess around when they first acquired them, maybe or even before then. They probably had the license, but
Right.
it was unique to I think one of the parks too. You couldn't like get it at every park. It was only at Epcot or only at Magic Kingdom. So
Those are the ones.
definitely, that's
From a place.
I literally got roped into this pin thing because at first I felt like I never had a good takeaway from the places I've been.
Right.
And a lot of stuff is usually it consumes a lot of space. You try to get, so it doesn't get on the plane well, it doesn't travel well, you can't decorate with, whatever. So I'm like, what can I get? And I was like, pins. I just happened to be at a place and I was like, let me get this pin. And sure as shit, from that moment, I went to Disney. That was awful. I spent
The amount of pins. I couldn't even
I got
open
a
the
book.
world of book of pins on.
Yeah, and it's a lot, and they're a lot. They're pricey because some of these are one of 1,500. They're
Right.
limited run. They're just completely unique to. Some of them are membership only. Depending if you have like the Disney credit card, that's one of they'll do a limited series for those. And it's funny because one of the pins that I wanted was a Dumbo pin that was released only for Visa card holders. And I had it in my cart, and when I went to check out, I was actually going to Disney that day and couldn't check out. I was like, it said sold out. I missed it. I was like, son of a bitch. And because I was going to the park, I didn't think about it too much, but I was like, oh, sure as shit. We go to this pin trader they have it in the case. I was last two. I was like, take them both.
Ooh, nice.
And that was that.
You always have to buy two.
Can I just say
Oh,
that
yeah,
I love
this
the
is
framing?
so
How my
sad, too.
elbow looks like Vin's elbow.
does, yeah.
Like cut back to Vin and then
I'm
tell
muted
me
this.
that doesn't look like
It does, yeah. I was hold on, no, there you go.
Oh, yeah,
my
look at that.
elbow fills out Vin's.
Hold on,
arm.
reach over and like make it look like
It's
his
like-
arms really long.
Almost
Massive.
Right,
Yeah.
right there. That's
Yeah.
it.
I cut that like fucking
It's perfect.
45 minutes ago. But it is.
Just injecting oil
It's
into
like
your biceps.
I
Yeah,
just keep
exactly.
staring at it every time he gets.
It's seamless.
I've been thinking about that, like doing
Damn,
this.
hold on, wait, no, I forgot which one is which. There we go.
terrible.
Oh, that's funny. It does look like a.
It's bad when you put your arm
When I
off
did
the
this.
camera. That's it. It's like it's the rest of his arm.
I'm on the other couch.
Terrible.
We have a lot of action in the comments. We had a good question from Phil. He asked, Gruffy, what is your most valuable Pokemon card in your collection?
Well, if I ever get that CD promo graded as a 10, that'll be like $800. That'll be like one of my most valuable. Outside of that Blaine's Charizard, which sells for $400 to $500, I have a graded slab of a Tyranitar that sells for around like $500. So those are like nothing too crazy. There's cards that raw sell for like 2,700. Obviously, you think of like base set Charizard, first edition Shadowless stuff, thousands upon thousands of dollars. But there's a lot of other like obscure cards that I would love to like eventually get that are like much more expensive. Actually, there's one card I'm trying to get. There's a whole line of Japanese cards for Pikachu wearing a poncho of different other types of Pokemon. So it'll be like a Charizard poncho.
Oh, that's cute.
Or like a Rayquaza poncho or a shiny Rayquaza poncho. Those like sell for like $1,500 ish, $1,000 can go up more.
Damn.
There's also a Luigi and Super Mario Pikachu like crossover. That came in like a special set box. Those like sell for like $3,000.
Jeez.
Super really cool cards, but yeah,
It's gonna be awesome.
very
crazy.
very unobtainable if you're just.
You'd have to sell 3 of your own to go. You'd have to start doing that little game, you know.
Now we're back to fantasy football and just like selling smaller pieces for bigger pieces.
Right. You know how many times I'm sitting there like, did this guy just fuck me on this deal? We just do a fantasy football trade. I'm like, son of a bitch. I don't feel good about this.
But yeah, actually that's what I'm starting to try to do now that I'm collecting more slabs.
Gotcha.
And some more of these higher priced cards to try to like combine those and
Also, it's
try to move up.
It's how you get away with it, so it doesn't seem like it's a terrible addiction.
Doesn't feel like I spent $1,500 on the card.
I spent $500 3 times, and then I spent
over the course of 2 years, so that doesn't count.
Right.
It's not the same.
exactly
Right.
carried no interest.
Yeah.
Come on now.
The only graded card I have is the I got the Ruler of the Black Flame Charizard just because I thought it was a sick card. I always loved Charizard. He's like black. He's got the crown.
Yeah.
Like it's a badass card and it's PSA rated 10.
I think
So-
I have
That's an awesome
2
card, yeah.
PSA cards,
I
but
love
they
that
were
card.
given to me by a Prano, and the only reason he gave them to me is because they're Incineroar. Whenever he comes across a cool Incineroar, he hooks me up. So I don't know if it's like a 9 point something. I don't think it's a 10, but it's.
Well, there's different
it's
grading
good.
companies that will do like the fractionals, like Beckett will do that. So it could be.
Yeah,
I've gotten into Pokemon Go, like more than any other. Like I don't even
beyond.
play
Again, like
yeah.
back into it.
Well, so
Back.
I
This guy
was
never gives up.
I've been playing for a while, and I was spoofing, which I could fake my location and go to all these like events. And what was cool about them is you get like a special background of the city, and like it's dope. But they actually, as of like a month ago, made it so that you can't do that. They patched it. So I bought a ticket for the New York City event, and I expected to sit in my computer chair for like 13 hours, like just playing Pokemon Go. And I ended up going to the city. It was like the hottest day of the year. He could attest because he was
now,
at the Yankees game, and I caught some dope shit. It was actually really cool. Yeah, I gave him. We traded.
Oh, you got
that.
the lucky trade?
Yeah, we got lucky friends, and
the
then
Brooklyn Bridge.
it's fucking sick. See, there you go. He's got the New York City background. So I have a bunch of guys on Pokemon Go that are like I have a shiny Rayquaza that has New York City in the background, and that's like my favorite one. I have a shiny Groudon with Las Vegas in the background.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got.
We still gotta trade shiny Machokes, one of you two, because I want the shiny Machamp, so he looks like
Yeah.
the Hulk.
I have some I
we
can
did
share with
that.
you there. I love like the concept of Go, and like it kind of gives me something to
It's
do.
a lot of fun. It's just I fall in and out of it, and I kick myself when I go on these trips to other states and I completely forget about the game because there's
That's
so
I
many
get the most
fucking
excited
stops.
about that
There's
when
some
I
rare
travel.
stuff, right? Like when
Yeah.
you travel, like you're never gonna
Love
go
it.
there again. There's special moments, special
That's
events.
You could
I
pin
did it
the
in Kansas.
You
I
could
did
pin
it
the
in fucking Missouri.
the
you know,
gift.
It's funny. It's
The gift that gets dispensed when you like spin the location. You pin
postcards.
those into like a postcard book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have all the Disney parks. I have all the
and you can
know,
send them
stuff
to
in
your friends, and then
Massachusetts.
they can pin them. So it's like
Yeah, so you send those as gifts. And you
I think
exchange
it's still
them.
crazy that
So-
this is still continued on for so long.
Almost 10 years now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it still has a pretty, very strong,
2016.
really strong fan base. to it.
Definitely. They just do everything they can to piss off the fan base by making these fucking changes. They used to have remote raids, which were awesome. You could just get invited, but you'd have to pay for the pass.
Mm.
So you could get, a
Right.
few of them. But
and
he would
they
invite
still
me-
have them. They just charge you more money for them now.
Yeah.
They were
turned
like,
it
we
in-
didn't want you to like play it remotely. We want you to get out and go. But there's a lot of people live in rural areas that are like,
There's
you
nothing
know,
nearby.
they jacked up the price. They like doubled the price of them. So that's
just-
a little
They
annoying.
just put a stop on the corner of my street. That was actually my old neighbor. He was a World War II veteran, and they like did the memorial naming of the street after
Oh,
him.
perfect.
So
Oh,
that
wow.
that stop is is his memorial.
I tried to make
So
my
it's pretty
corner
cool.
one because it was renamed after 9/11, but it
It's
got
tough.
denied.
So that's how it started too. Was I started my job, and in the beginning it was kind of slow and easy, and we had 3 gyms like right there. So that just made it easy to like keep spinning those and then take the gyms, and then next thing you know, I got these auto catcher things like the Pokeball catchers.
I haven't even powered that shit on.
It's great.
They need to
In a
fix
long time.
the fucking games that they're releasing though on the Switch. Like, there needs to be a better evolution of those games, because I feel like still love Pokemon, but the game isn't hitting the way that it could.
The
need
last
a new
one,
Pokemon
I can't finish it for some reason. I just like get
I got halfway
bored.
in.
I
Could
fall
barely
off.
start it.
Yeah.
I maybe get halfway through every single time, and I just kind of trail away.
Same. It doesn't.
And I can't. I don't.
I've been doing it with
Is
a
that
lot
the
of
one with
games.
the flying bike?
This is the one with like Cyclizar.
That's what I'm talking
Miraidon.
about.
Yeah.
So I beat the main story of that, but there was like a lot of stuff after that, and I dropped off.
There's
after
Area Zero, I think, is like.
There's no
beyond that.
immersion to the game.
I got
There's
the red
nothing
and the
that-
blue one.
It's more about the collect. It's like, how fast can I just like collect these, and there's nothing really driving that game other than let me collect all these fuckers and beat these gyms, and you're pretty
Combat.
much done. Like, yeah, you're not. I don't know. There's no. I
Yeah,
don't know
it
if you
feels
want to
kind of more to the same. I feel like when they did Pikachu and Eevee Let's Go, that really kind of refreshed
That
it
was
because
so
like,
good.
Those were nice. Yeah, I like
and they
those
just
a
never
lot.
went
I
back
played
to
the
it again.
shit
The
out of
artwork,
those.
the more like I don't know, like chibi style
Right.
artwork that kind of like was.
There was also
reminiscent of the
Pokemon
past.
Yellow, which was my personal introduction to
Very
the games.
nostalgic.
Right. That
I
was.
didn't
They
have
could have
red
done
and blue.
a
I
whole
got
series
yellow.
of those. I would have bought every one of those up until
Yeah.
black and white.
And I guess it's like a part of the newer games in some way because the Pokemon are in the wild and running around, but just it's still those games for some reason like had something special about them.
Definitely.
Something actually came back to me as to why I didn't have red and blue, because I would typically probably would have had blue because that was my favorite color. I remember my original Game Boy got stolen when I was in like first grade, and it was like years
Sons of bitches. I
until
hope something
got
really bad happened to that person.
I got, and they stole my original Michael Keaton Batman game. That was what was in there. So I lost the 2 of them. But
Sons of
That's
years
bitches.
later, I got it back when Play and Trade opened up. I bought an original Game Boy and I bought that game. So I was like, I felt like whole again. But
Playing Trade's gone, right?
yeah,
They're out of business
well,
entirely.
so they're actually with Brothers Grimm, the tabletop game store. So they're kind of like sharing the same space.
I asked
Eric-
because
All the
fuck
way
Play
out
and
east.
Trade. I've only ever gotten broken games like
Not in Deer Park. They
Yes,
used to
in Deer
test. They
Park,
used to test the
specifically.
games and fix them.
not.
You had to
for
talk
me.
to Pete, the owner. I used to fucking know him. He
I
used
don't
to,
know.
if it
Pete
wasn't
fucked
right,
me
he'd make it
couple
right.
times.
Or give me my money back.
Yeah.
I never had a problem there. But I didn't get a Game Boy Color until around the time Yellow came out, and that's why I got Yellow, because it was like so you guaranteed to get my favorite Pokemon from the start of the game. Just gonna get that.
Eric has a device that plays like all the old school cartridge portables.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Analog Pocket. So there's obviously like a lot of portable
See a lot of
devices
ads
that
for
you
that
can buy
shit.
for like emulators and whatnot. But the special thing about the Analog Pocket is that you could plug the old cartridges into it, so it's a more of like nostalgic vibe feel, where the other ones are, simply just emulators in a sense, right? Just all digital.
Right.
So yeah, obviously it had a lot of my old cartridges, like old Pokemon, like Yellow, Blue, but then like some of the newer ones like Emerald, Sapphire. I have old school like original Mega Man
That's awesome.
ones, which
Sick.
are like just so awesome to play. So yeah, kind of like popping it back in there, and it because obviously like newer tech and everything, you're able to get better visuals, like better screens, and obviously like not the backlit original Game Boy that
Not backlit.
The
Not
sun
like-
destroyed
yeah.
that day. You brought it to the
I
beach.
had this big fucking thing you can attach to the screen, and it
The
like made the
magnifier?
screen
Yeah,
bigger,
yeah.
and it had
It's
a
like
light
a
on it.
magnifying glass.
But that
Oh,
shit
yeah.
would eat through the battery like you wouldn't fucking believe, because
Oh,
it was
the
like another
light.
power source.
Game Boy.
I
Game
never
Boy
had a
Color
Game
was
Boy.
not backlit. You had to do the light thing with it.
It
Yeah,
was
there was like
not
the little
backlit either,
squiggly
yeah.
light you could put on the Game Boy
Yeah, the little
Color.
squiggly
But that would
light.
just destroy batteries. Would be missing from every remote.
Yeah.
The Game Gear was even worse.
Bro, the Game Gear, it was hardline.
It was like 6
Period.
batteries, and it would like
That's
die
the
in like
one
an hour.
bummer is I don't have the power adapter to that fucking Game Gear. It's not in that case, but I have the legit Sega Game Gear official carry case.
Right, buy it on eBay pretty easy.
I did browse around. I was
Yeah.
tempted to
Actually-
do it, but the screen is this big. It's
I
like
know.
2.5 inches. I was like, I couldn't even. It'd be cool to power it on just to see it, but it's just like
Kids don't know what they have nowadays.
I got to look it up again, but there's a video game store that sells all the cables for all the old systems and
oh
stuff.
really?
What,
Because
the
I
back
was
of-
even
the back of
talking
your
to them.
screens are lit.
Because that's where I ended up
They're
going to get
HDR. The Sony Dolby Atmos with HDR and you're like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And you're
Yeah.
bitching about what?
Right.
That's how I was able to convert the N64 to HDMI. That's where we were able to play.
We made it work. That was the
the
thing with the
system on here.
limitations back in our day. Was like we would find a way to make it work.
part
It
of the
took a little
magic.
bit of innovation to make it happen because you were like, I'm playing the shit out of this tonight. Like nothing's stopping me, and I couldn't have the light on because my parents would be like, "What the fuck are you doing up?" So you
Light
you
from
just
a clock or something.
Right.
Who knows?
You'd be
I love
under the
always seeing
covers.
videos. People put up videos of like the kid sitting by like the window of the car and like the
Bro,
light
oh,
going
yeah,
by
that was
and just like
definitely
that's
me
how
with
you're
Tetris
playing.
and shit back in the day.
those little cartoons or whatever they
Super
do.
Mario
online.
Land.
I love that shit with the 80s tracks going on. But I really wanted to buy that when you said, "Oh, you might sell your analog pocket to get the upgraded
Yeah.
aluminum," I was like, "Oh, definitely, whatever. I'll give you the money." And then it was like you were like, "It's $500," and I was like, "Yeah, see, that was what I said when you sent it to me.
Well,
$500 is way too expensive."
Well, the funny thing was I was like talking to Kate about it. She was like, just go for it, get it. I was like,
Oh, sick. So I'm buying that from you. Just let me know when you need the cash.
I didn't get it.
Son of a
I
bitch.
didn't get it. I didn't know if you actually wanted it still.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
See?
When you said that, well, I was like, oh, whatever.
the
you know,
regret.
Still
I know we
time.
could come.
Maybe
to
there'll be like a Black
is it?
Friday.
You know what
deal.
the thing
get
that
it
really
for
got
cheaper.
me why I didn't buy it. I would have done it. I was gonna happen, but I was kind of going on Reddit, kind of searching around, see what other people think about it. They obviously have like their own like Reddit channel and everything like that. And people are just like, for the price too, like it's ridiculous. They didn't even add anything like like Bluetooth or something along those lines to put your headset. And like if they would have added something additional,
Agreed.
then it would have been more worth the price. And I was like 100%, and I just like felt like validated in not buying it.
Makes sense. It was definitely if it was 400, that still would have been.
I still would have done it.
That's a lot, but yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you were able to sell the other one. But I was looking forward to that because I was like, I'll definitely pop in some of those Game Gear games. But I might pick
Yeah.
one of those up still. But
So
it's
you can
$300
plug
bucks.
different games
still a lot,
into
yeah.
A
them.
lot of bucks.
Yeah, you could plug in original Game Boy Color, Advance SP, Game Gear. They come with like adapters to play some other.
The weirder one, the
yeah, like some
advanced
of
Can
the-
you put like Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis and stuff
No,
like that?
it's
on there?
small.
No,
It's
it's
the
just the
portable.
handheld.
Because
It's,
there was a thing that they sold at Play and Trade back in the day. It was like some partnership they had with some third party company that had something that you can play all those systems on. It was nuts.
At this point now, with the iPhone, because of like the lawsuits, they have all the emulators now.
It's all there,
You
yeah.
could run all those ROMs right on the phone,
Yeah.
and it's I like obviously the tactile feel of.
I don't feel so
those
bad
buttons,
because
but
legally you could say that it's a backup copy of a game that you do legally own. I have most of these games that I
Like
I'm
we were
playing
saying
on here
before.
anyway.
internet goes out, how much of your shit do you lose?
Nothing.
You find yourself playing that analog pocket.
Look at that wall. It's fucking full of tangible video games. The only system
I'm looking at Blockbuster
that I really
1995.
forget it. Yeah, it's all the way back. But
With the
it's
Dukes
say-
of Hazzard.
It's literally got.
the Dukes. I have the Dukes of Hazzard, and mine's not wiped with his ass,
That was so funny.
like the one from Blockbuster over there.
That's what we got to sit back over that way.
Imagine that copy's still floating around out there.
It probably is.
Legend has it. That
Copy or crappy?
That copy of the Dukes of Hazzard. We have a lot of comments here, so I want to try to catch up on them. From the Dungeon asked, what was better, Digimon cards or Pokemon cards?
Pokemon.
Come on, yeah.
Yeah.
I hated
You fucking
Digimon.
kid. There was like this retarded stepchild of a fucking Pokemon.
They
Are
were
you
like,
kidding me?
They were like the tryhards maybe.
Yeah,
Like
yep.
it was like the second one trying to
Yeah.
do.
It felt like it
what
was trying to
one
steal.
Was doing.
If
so
anybody said they
it's a
liked
money maker,
Digimon,
it's a
it was
money
like,
grab.
I'm not talking to you.
Digimon's still around.
At least
and
with
doing
like
very
Yu-Gi-Oh,
well
it was
to a
it was
certain degree,
different.
so.
That it was like it wasn't trying to be Pokemon. It was a
fuck
whole nother
Yu-Gi-Oh
thing.
too.
I liked Yu-Gi-Oh. I liked the cartoon. I thought it was entertaining.
I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I collected some of those. It was
It's
fun.
still popular.
I actually played the actual game of Yu-Gi-Oh like way more than I ever did Pokemon. It was much
That's
more
the
like
funny thing
enjoyable
about
game.
Pokemon. It's not even
How many
about
people
playing
are playing the
It's
card
the
game?
collectability of the
Yeah.
actual.
Well, the
art.
tournaments are huge for the Pokemon.
True,
yeah.
true.
Still,
But yeah,
the
that-
mass market.
there's
so much
a
more than
collectible
that now,
factor
though.
to it. Yeah,
You know?
it's so much more.
Pokemon. I mean, honestly, my favorite Pokemon shit is like all the other. I loved Pokemon Snap. I love Pokemon Stadium. Like those
Pokemon
were
Snap.
like my two games back in the day.
I have them both.
Well, in
Yeah,
any of the other
64.
Pokemon games,
They need to make like a
Pokemon
modern
Go.
day like good stadium where like all the modern Pokemon are in there. You can put
Yeah.
the gods in there.
Those are actually
That'd
some
be-
expensive cards. There's Pokemon Snap cards. Like they took some photos from people who took like the best like photos that they chose and made them into cards. And those cards are incredibly expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
That's freaking. Could you imagine that? Like you took a picture so good on Pokemon Snap that they turned
Up
that
on the
shit into a card. I would
Feel
lose
pretty good.
my shit. Like that's like an honor.
Remember, you used to be able to print them out too with the.
That's what I remember. Yeah, you
would
could
go-
print them out.
Yeah,
like at a
Blockbuster?
place.
Me and my
yeah,
cousin,
something like
yeah.
that.
Joe's brother we go to the library. We'd look up like cool artwork, like Mewtwo's or Charizard, and just print that shit on their printer. And they had no idea. They didn't,
Yeah.
we'd print like fucking 50 sheets, all color, put them in a
50
binder.
sheets is a big deal back then.
Fuck yeah! Oh man, it was a color printer. It was
Film paper.
and they had no idea. We were probably killing them on the ink.
I used to like to draw the Pokemon. That was like
Oh, that's cool.
my thing.
I have a terrible. I do not have an artist's hand.
Are
I do
NFTs
not.
still a thing? Yes, from the dungeon.
They are still a thing.
They are definitely.
They
a
are
thing,
still
man.
a thing.
around.
I still don't.
I think they're worth like 1/1,000,000th of what they were when back when they
1
first
million.
came out.
I said that shit on the show from the
still
start.
around.
It's only going to be worth what people are willing to pay for them. You're buying this picture of this fucking ape that's like bored, smoking a cigarette with a different background every time.
I
and
always
it's like,
felt-
Maybe they come back too. It's
It
just
might.
like it's like
I
the
might.
news kind of like it's still around, but I don't know too much. I don't want to say too much like about it, but I feel like it's definitely still there. I know for a fact.
I've always felt like it was the underlying technology. I understand like the.
Well, we said NFT for
it was
video
mo-
games.
It was
or
more
something.
about like we were saying. Do you own the digital property
Yeah.
that you bought, or does someone
They're
else
still selling them.
license it to you? Technically, with the NFT and the the way the contract works, you own what you bought in a way you could prove in court. That's kind of to me what
That's why I thought
the
about games. And you're
underlying-
buying digital games on PlayStation. Like if it
You
was
should be
like
able
an
to sell it.
NFT, like yeah, I want to own the copy that I have. I paid you 65, 16, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
For it.
It's mine.
I should be able to do something with it.
Absolutely. I used to be able to buy a game, and then if I wanted to, I'd be like, "Here, give me $20 for that," and or GameStop, give me $7.50 for this.
It maintains the value of like what you bought versus.
That's for
now.
you, by the way, Vin. I forgot to tell you.
Oh,
I
perfect.
found it while I was cleaning up. It's a bunch of Iron Man shit.
Oh, the top collectible covers. That's actually sick. This is actually cooler on the inside than the outside.
Oh wow. That
Yeah,
is actually pretty
I know Iron Man's your boy, and I found that. I was
Sick.
like, you know what? This is Vin's now.
Marvel, man. Can't wait. Marvel's going to be back.
Did they ever bring back Garbage Pail Kids?
They did. They did, actually.
Definitely
In
did.
fact, they even made some updated ones where there was like wrestlers and
You
stuff.
got a couple of those on the show once, if I recall. You opened
I think
some.
so.
Those are
Somebody gave
those
them
are
to you
highly
or something.
collectible as well.
My brother has a whole shoebox
is
full
awesome.
of those and
Thanks.
baseball cards and
Thanks.
shit from the 80s.
I heard about them through It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's
Oh
where I
my
first
God.
there was an episode where they talked about that. All right, let's see. We got a lot of comments to go through here.
You know what? Real quick, I forgot to show off some of the collectibles
Oh, yeah,
that I
do
got
that.
here because I have them sitting here. I just wanted to show off Major Bendy's recently came out with
Oh,
these black and white Jay and Silent Bob Bendy
another
figures,
staple of all of
Oh
our
my God.
friendships.
which are pretty cool. And they actually, funny enough, came with little trading cards of Jay and Silent Bob.
I think that's probably
But,
one of the things you omitted from your story when you met Eric, because I guarantee within the first day of meeting him and knowing him, you were like snoochie boochies or something
of
poured
course.
out.
So actually,
course.
and
no.
that was
Yeah.
oof.
So this is really funny. I heard Snoochie Boochies before I even knew what it meant,
Oh, really?
because I think you were the one that actually got me into those movies. But it was
Definitely.
it was funny. I was listening to
Good or bad, I spread that.
this guy that was doing metal covers of famous themes, video game themes, movie themes, stuff like that. And one of his things is called E-Rock, and he used to put like clips of sounds and stuff. I know E-Rock. I know it's really funny.
That's what we called it.
He played like these sick metal covers of like everything, Ninja Turtles theme, the Power Rangers, all this shit. And he did the John Williams Superman theme. And it starts with "Son of Jor-El, kneel before Zod, Snoochie Boochies." Ah! And it's like the beginning. I was like, what the fuck is that
That's
from?
yeah.
And then we started watching the movies, and they said Snoochie Boochie. I was like, that's where that fucking shit comes from. Because I was saying Snoochie Boochie. I didn't know what the fuck I was even saying. Because of
Snooch to
that
the
track,
motherfucking
that
nooch.
specific track. So shout out to E-Rock for getting me into Snoochie Boochies originally.
Job,
and then
E-Rock.
fucking got in, because of you got into the movies. And
And
a
because
cool
we ended
memory
up
for me.
meeting them, and
Oh.
fucking, that was
I
insane.
got to hear this one.
The first time watching Jay and Silent Bob was with little Joe at my parents' house. We were just upstairs.
Okay.
It had to be within the year that I first moved, over there.
that
So
neighborhood,
I don't know. It was like 6th or 7th grade watching Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back
I showed
with Joe, who's obviously like younger than we are on top of it, and like that pretty much like shaped our entire
Oh
personality.
my God.
That was
Probably
my
for the worst.
Yeah, definitely for the worst. That was
Fuck.
I brought it on DVD one summer. It was probably summer
It's
of.
probably the DVD that we watched.
It must have been summer 2001. I don't know. I assume that
Something
movie
like
came
that.
out.
That sounds about right.
I brought it on DVD. It was the funniest shit. Of course, we had just started like smoking weed at the time, and all those movies were coming, like How High, Half Baked, Jay and Silent Bob. It was a whole weed culture thing, and
yeah.
I remember the first time. I don't really remember, but the first time we watched it, I was dead. So I had to bring it to Joe and my cousin John, and it was probably the worst decision ever because Joe only spoke in that movie for like 3 or 4 years.
That
He
was his
didn't
dictionary.
say-
That was it.
That was
Other
his
words.
entire lexicon was.
It was
freaking
like-
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, and then from there though, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was great, but movies like Dogma, Chasing
yeah.
Amy, those are great movies, and of course Clerks. So it was great to get into that whole universe.
Mallrats.
But Jesus, Jay is definitely not a role model. So
No,
when you're in
definitely
6th and 7th grade and very impressionable, Jesus, Joe's in like 4th grade or something.
I believe he was.
Oh my God.
boy.
Sorry, Joe.
But funny enough with the Jay and Silent Bob thing, years back during the first video of Rob being Peter Griffin, we went down to Jersey. And it just so happened that Jay was going to be there. And he was just coming back because he had gone through a whole addiction problem. And we see him, and obviously because of the whole story we just said, Rob's like, oh, it's Jay. We got to meet him. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't, want to like bother him or, I was just being shy about it. Fucking Rob walks
that.
right up. He just fucking walks up. He starts immediately talking to the guy, like his handler. They hit it off. Started talking about like, smoking weed. And he's like, hey, you think we could get a signature from Jay and maybe like a picture and a video? So we got a print. It's a black and white print from Clerks, Jay and Silent Bob. Jay signs it for me. His buddy smokes Rob's pen. That was when Rob was just.
That was
getting
actually
into
your
that.
pen. This was before
Oh,
I
that was
started
mine?
getting
Oh,
pens.
Christ.
And he was
So-
like, he's like, weed or money? I was like,
Oh,
got a
weed?
pen. He's like, let me hit it. He's like, get an autograph. So guy
So-
took the hit of Vin's pen. Fucking,
Got Jay's
Yeah.
autograph on a hit of weed, so that's perfect.
we sang the
Nice.
fuck
And-
song.
We sang the fuck song, and in that moment we said, I was like, man, it'd really be something if I could ever get this signed by Kevin Smith one
Right.
day.
Right.
Fast forward 8 years, like what was that, last year? So
No, it was 2 years ago, I think now.
was it? Oh my god. So fast forward whatever it was, it must have been about 8 years from the time we met Jay. I brought that picture. We went down to the secret stash. I met Kevin Smith. Told him the brief story real quick, and then was like, "Hey, could you sign this?" And yeah, sure as shit, boom. So I got that framed right now. That's another nice. That is a piece of memorabilia that has no price. That's it would never be sold or moved because of the story that goes behind it. For so many friendships and for so long, probably about 20 plus years at this point. So yeah, ultimate sentimental full circle story. It was very cool, and Kevin Smith was very nice.
I was gonna ask, what did he say?
Such a nice guy.
It was really quick. Everything
Right.
he was having to move. We had another event to go to because we were going to a theater. So he was just like,
Yeah, sure,
like
man.
I said, I love you. He was like,
Yeah.
I love you, and
Oh,
he just
nice.
he gave me a big hug. I was like, yeah, I got this signed by Jay a long time ago. Da da da. You think he's like, absolutely. No hesitation. Very friendly. I have video of him and Rob, talking it up real quick.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I
Very
even
fucking
told
cool.
him, I was like, "This is the skinny Silent Bob to my Fat J." Like he was hysterical. I was like, because I'm telling you, if we ever did we should do like a reverse cosplay where I'm like Fat J and you're skinny Silent Bob.
That's
That would be the
hilarious.
funniest shit ever.
Next Clerks
That's a great
movie.
costume.
Right?
We should do it.
That would be something else.
The next
like
Clerks
alternate
movie.
universe Jay and Silent Bob.
He's dropping another Clerks movie, right?
What's that?
There's another Clerks movie coming, isn't there?
Maybe.
I could swear I heard something about that shit.
Yeah, but that was wild.
Mallrats.
The opportunity presented itself. It was like the 25th anniversary, the opening of the Secret Stash. I was lucky enough to go to the original Secret Stash. I think that was in 2013. It was crazy because me and my buddy Joe Prano, who's one of the co-owners of the Rip and Chip Arena, went to Jersey to go see the Legend of Zelda in concert. But we're like, we're going to go to Jersey. What the fuck are we going to do all day in Jersey? So I was like, let's go see the quick stop and go see the Secret Stash. So we did that before the concert, and it was cool to see like the original store. They had the Bluntmobile and this suspended from the ceiling with dummies of Bluntman and Chronic with the bong sabers and shit. They had the Buddy Christ statue in the corner of the store. They had paraphernalia from all the movies. They had like his Michael Keaton Batman grapple gun. They had
How the fuck did he
framed
get
picture of the drawing of the
Mark
Easter
Hamill,
Bunny and
Stan Lee?
the lesbian.
Right?
How the fuck did Kevin Smith get those guys in those movies? That's like, not only is it the Luke Skywalker, he has a fucking lightsaber in his hand, and it's not.
Well, he had Carrie Fisher too. When you want to argue,
He did have
she was
Carrie
a,
Fisher.
she
Yeah,
was
Carrie
a nun.
Fisher.
You think about
Star
everybody, yeah. The relationships and the connections that are behind,
Hollywood.
behind Hollywood.
George
That could
Lucas
never
gonna sue
happen. That
somebody.
could never happen now. Now it's so off the possible. Disney would be like, nope. That's not happening.
no.
Definitely not. Especially for like, that movie was never really anything major, big per se, like when it first came out.
Cult classic. Oh,
Yeah.
it's probably in theaters for 3 weeks, if that. You know
They're
what
like,
I
nobody's
mean?
gonna watch this.
No one's gonna watch
It's
this
the
piece
same
of
thing with
shit.
like the Big Lebowski.
What are they even
you know?
saying? Yeah, what is this nonsense that they're dribbling?
We
out?
have
Like,
big stars. We have Matt Damon.
we've got Ben,
Ben
Affleck,
Affleck,
and Matt
yeah.
Damon. We've got that's the
Vanderbeek.
Hollywood
We got some
stars.
American Pie.
We've
my
got
God.
James
Yeah.
Vanderbeek. We've got Jason Biggs. Dude, you fucked the pie.
I fucker.
Joe is begging that you tell the story. He said you need to talk about when you blasted me with the powder when we
Oh
were
my
kids.
God. I was just thinking about that last week.
He said, "Chris, get them to
wanted to
talk
bring it
about
up.
it. He wants you guys to talk about it."
Incredible.
You guys
Yeah, there was
blasted
there was a short stint where I think like antiquing was like a thing.
Yep.
I don't know if like YouTube was around at that
Pre
moment.
me.
iPhone
It's like
too.
that was
Yeah.
like Bam Margera.
Yeah, I
like,
think it was like more
inspired
like Bam Margera,
Jackass.
Jackass kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like we went on this like, little antiquing spree, where if, I don't know if everyone should know what this is, but you're getting a handful of powder and you just
Handful of
unknowingly
Like
throw it
baby
in someone's
powder, right?
face.
flour.
It was like a
You either use flour or
yeah.
baby powder.
Flour, I feel like is okay because it's not like toxic. You know, what I mean? Baby powder is
We
like
use
It was
flour.
flour. It
We
was
use
flour
flour.
in this instance. So the story that Joe's talking about, Joe was having a wonderful like afternoon.
July
Summer
day.
summer day, very nice day. Kind of
Siesta.
sitting in his backyard, actually lounging in his backyard, hands behind his head. I
just
believe
fucking. I can
no.
imagine him just
Rest- yeah,
fucking.
resting or
Such a nice
sleeping.
day. Don't have to work.
And
What's work?
you know, from what I remember, Vin and I are chuckling in the kitchen, looking out at him, and
We just got back from work. We went
Yeah.
to this job at 5 in
Yes,
the morning
this
to
is
unload
correct.
trucks.
100%.
So it
So
was
this
like-
was early, yeah.
It was very early. This is definitely in that early afternoon. Probably gonna go to the beach.
Probably go to the beach.
That's the wind up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
We're tuned up. We're like,
We're tuned up.
yeah, we're ready to go. We just
Yeah.
gotta fucking work. You're sleeping. Come on now. Bed's getting flipped over. Something's happening
yeah, or the times we always like took his mattress and put it into the
into the
into
lawn.
the little pond lake in the back. Anyway, so we sneak out into the backyard. I have a handful of flour cocked and ready to go. As I'm releasing this flour through the air, for some reason he like by the grace of God he wakes up and looks directly up at me. in
Dude,
that
like
moment.
this. He's like this. He's just like
Yeah.
he's just relaxing.
We're very quiet in all this. I don't know why he turned and
feels
looked.
maybe
Yeah.
the shadow. Something
Feels the air
alerts
pressure
him.
change.
It's probably the
The air
the,
pressure,
the
right.
light.
And he just
His
goes.
eyelids.
And I'm telling you, like it's like this.
He looks.
his hand, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden Joe's eyes snap open. He's like,
Yep. So
and this shit explodes in his eyeballs. It just
I'm blind.
It knocks his contacts out.
Yep.
He is crusty. He
in
is
pure agony,
devastated. He just
pure anger.
And the tears are just coagulating in his eyes.
Joe says one of the best lines
Best lines.
ever. It'll never.
I'll put it on my tombstone.
Yeah, it'll probably be one of the last things I remember. Like
Yeah.
Aegon Targaryen passing away. Like
Yeah.
I will remember. Don't you guys ever grow up? And me and this guy are laughing, running away, bro. We are just. He throws the chair, the fire pit at us.
Throws the fire pit.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
fuck.
His eyes are just caking with flour and tears. He's so fucked. We felt kind of bad, but it was all-time moment.
He survived.
The way his eye. It was only his fault because if he didn't open his
You know,
eyes,
his eyes, he'd be fine.
we just gotta get a good
Just
smack in the
take
face.
smack.
Yeah, it would have been benign.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that. You know, Joe will give you that like.
Yeah. He'll
Suddenly
he'll
just
give
be
you his
alert.
full eye
Yeah.
contact.
And
bang.
it was already released. The flower was
was
It's
there.
too late. You know, it's
Yeah.
so
I wish
slow
I
mo
had
moment.
that.
I was
I have
cast.
part of that on a cell phone video, but this is before
You
the
were
iPhone.
recording, yeah.
This is like an LG Razor or whatever.
Although there is a
it's
funny
bunch of
video.
shit like that.
You remember that video you showed me years ago of him getting iced? He walks into the room, the fucking bottle's
Oh,
just
we
like
got-
hanging from the fan.
we,
and some-
What a
we
wonderful
started
time.
getting.
and your face, you're just like,
We got real
I think we were,
devilish
yeah.
with how we hid. We filled Budweisers with Smirnoff. We did it all. We suspended Smirnoffs from the ceiling fans, so when they came out of the room, it was just hanging there. Like we did.
It was getting absurd.
It was bad. You open up something, Smirnoff. Yeah, that was getting ice was rough. Getting ice after a while, you were just like you were drinking it and like with fuck you in your drink.
Yeah.
You were like. You.
It was no longer fun anymore, which also made it that much better.
It was
Because you know you're truly pissing that person off.
it's like those toxic Australian guys that play pranks on each other.
well. Yeah, memory lane's a long one. We got a
It
few.
is.
Oh, you know what? I forgot one more thing. I forgot to show off. I got the last of the Masters Universe Ninja Turtle figures. Well, at least the latest wave that came out so far. I think there's going to be
fucking
some more exclusives from Target.
California bros.
There's one I didn't get. It was Master Splinter. He's going to be a Target exclusive, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get him because the pre-orders are already sold out. It'll be one of those things that maybe I'll get lucky enough to find in the store. But if you can see him here, we've got Casey Jones, we've got Skeletor, we've got Tila, and we've got finally Michelangelo to round out the four turtles because it was driving me nuts. But I got an extra Mikey and Skeletor to open up, and let me tell you, this Skeletor figure is fucking awesome. With the blue lights and stuff, he really pops. You'd think he would glow in the dark
He looks
the way
like
his
us.
coloration looks,
Next
but
word out of my mouth.
he actually doesn't. But I mean, that can be fixed. I can paint him. I got glow in the dark paints and shit if I really want to do it. But
Yeah.
I was just excited to show those off because I've been waiting a while to have all four turtles with the He-Man line.
It's nice when they actually stand up on the table.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah.
Tipping over.
Tip a canoe.
And the boxes don't look too dinged up.
They actually got a little dinged up because I
Oh.
ordered them on Amazon and
Oh, yeah, I
they
see it.
pack them like
They didn't do
fucking
it
Helen
right.
Keller over there. It's
Rob,
like-
did you get the
wasn't from Japan,
Skeletor
that's
Stranger
why.
Things combo? Did you get
No, it looks stupid. The fucking Demogorgon, and then it's another fucking Skeletor figure. I mean, I already have like 5 different Skeletors. I don't need another one.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, how many Skeletors has Rob shown off on this fucking show? It's at least like 5 or 6.
I just
there
really
now.
like
Give us
this
the
one
laugh.
because I like the
I had to get all
the
4
samurai
of them. I had to
armor.
get the set because
Give
how
us
could
the
you get them
laugh.
alone?
Eternia will be mine. You know what's funny is the Undiscovered Realm Comic-Con that I went to with the Ninja Turtle people. I was talking to some people that have some kind of podcast or some kind of show with the Ninja Turtle stuff, and I was doing my Shredder impression for them, and they were like, all their faces like collectively dropped. They're like, "Holy shit, you sound just like James Avery." They're like, "We need to get this guy in contact with some people." I'm like, "Please do."
Please.
I'll be the fucking shredder.
Help!
Idiots, I will dine on turtle soup.
But yeah, he was always one of my favorite villains. It really sucks that I didn't get to meet him because he's the only one besides April O'Neil that I didn't get to meet because I met the original 4 Turtles, got their autographs, and I met Krang. Krang was really cool too. And it's funny how like through all the years of doing these conventions, how many of like my childhood heroes I've gotten to meet, and even just recently at that same con, Kevin Clash was there. And if you don't know who that is, that's the original voice of Elmo. And he was also Baby Sinclair from Dinosaurs.
Don't kick the
And
baby.
Dinosaurs was one of my favorite
Don't-
fucking shows
Same.
when I was a kid.
I'm the baby, gotta love me,
Don't
not the mama.
That was him.
That makes so much sense now that he's Elmo.
Yeah.
And he was also Shredder in the original Ninja Turtle movie. That's why they had him there.
Cowabunga.
Yeah, that's him. That's
was the
but
best
it
movie.
was wild because then we saw Judith Hogue again, who was the original April O'Neil, and she actually rode in the car with us over the Canadian border coming back from Niagara Falls Comic Con because she was there too. So she remembered me and Mandy, so had that little connection there. And it was really cute because I was Peter Nardo. I debuted my Peter Griffin Ninja Turtle costume, and I got a Raphael shirt, but I put tape over the part of the R to make it a P. And I had like I still put the blue bandana though. I'm fucking still gonna rep Leonardo because he's my favorite turtle. But Mandy was Lois April O'Neil, and she had the Channel 4 news team thing. But then she also had Grinds My Gears on the other side. She like made like a makeshift microphone.
Oh, cool.
And she dressed Joey up as Little Master Splinter. But it was hilarious because the outfit that he has. He looked like a little Shogun, like from that TV show, and it was like a little. I was like, it's Jogun, you know.
Jogan. Doggo. I told my dad that he met Chevy Chase.
Anjin Sama,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, this dog literally has a photo with Chevy Chase.
I don't
He's
even
like, that
have
little
that.
dog that looked like it was like, you know, kind of old. Yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's Joey. That's my son,
Little Yoda.
14 years old, and it's funny because he even sits in a little backpack on my back. And it must look like Patrick Starr with the big fucking rip guy in the Sport Coliseum when he's doing the fast food games because he's so tiny and how like massive my fucking shoulder span is alone. Like even if I was thin, I'd still look huge next to this dog. It's fucking hysterical. And he's like having a pet on easy mode. You know, he if you put a pee-pee pad on the floor, like he'll go on it. Like he knows what he does his business. He's very vocal. He's cute as a
Can't
button.
jump.
And the little face, and he loves the attention and stuff. He was walking all over Shira's prints one time. It's very funny. Like
She-Ra.
the adventures that Joey gets into. We joke around that he has more
Joey.
fans than both of us.
Gruen Scheisenberg says mids at best, yeah.
You're a good boy. And speaking of boys,
The
we're all-
boys.
it's my attempt at a segue there.
Oh, here's
Fucking
a good one.
diabolical.
Try it.
Fucking
diabolical.
diabolical.
Oi.
Oi,
So we're all
everybody
caught up on the boys, right?
Yes, sir.
Everybody
right.
out there, if you didn't watch the finale,
Spoilers!
We're gonna pick the meat off
the
of this
bell.
bone here. So
Meat.
we all watched it, and we're gonna be discussing the finale of the boys. So if you did not watch that yet, and you're gonna get upset, just know that that's on you. After this
fucked up.
point, I don't know if, you know.
That's it.
yeah, you
should
get
be-
the warning.
I had I
like-
went home from work. I watched
Same.
that, and then I came here.
Gave
to
you
the
more
show,
warning than
so-
fucking Nerdist did with the fucking Deadpool trailer. So
We'll
I don't
get
want to
there.
hear shit.
Oh, we'll get there because I want to
Oh,
bitch about that.
yeah, I
for a
didn't
minute.
even hear about that. So
What'd you guys think of the boys, though? What's your overall this season, the finale? What's your
I'm left with a lot of questions. I kind of feel like it was like the momentum was taking you somewhere, and then all of a sudden it was just like, no, actually everything's fucked. It was like,
In the
oh,
last,
I
the
feel that.
last
I feel what you're
ninth
saying.
hour,
Alright.
too. It was like, you think the series is going a certain way, and then they set up all this shit to work out, and then it fucking 180, like in the last 5 minutes of the show. It's like,
yeah,
oh, fuck. And then, oh, fuck. Like, I mean, the one, like, nice little thing that I was very happy about personally is that Kimiko and Frenchie are back together. I think that was a mistake to split them up. Nice to have them together again. But, like, the fact that, like, they all get fucking captured right before the end,
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Like, what
Like,
the
you think
fuck?
they're, like, getting away. Maybe they'll set it up where they regroup. No, the federal agent lady is fucking dead. We don't know where the son is. Now they just found out all this traumatizing shit about his father and his mother, and that he's a product of rape, and that Butcher was trying to lure him, and like they were just starting to reestablish that trust factor, and now he's like off the rails, and then now Butcher is given into that dark side with Jeffrey Dean Morgan's like
I love that.
That was great.
character.
Fight
It's
Club
like Fight
style.
Club, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And
that
it's
everybody
really
was
cool.
feeling
And he's a
little-
fantastic actor. He fucking kills it and everything.
He doesn't even need
Yeah.
to say anything. You just sit there like grinning.
Yeah,
you
just
know,
grinning.
Excuse the
It's like
fuck
you
out
know.
of me.
Yeah.
Love that. Everything he's in, I love.
Somebody called that. I
great
think
Watchmen.
Hell's called that he was like a figment of his imagination the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
So I'll
he
give
did say
Hell's
that.
credit
That's a good
here.
one.
Phil Hell's called it.
Well, it made
Hell's
sense
did
because
call
his
that.
wife was there too, so it only made sense if he's having conversations with the two of them.
Right.
I guess that
They
was
spaced-
that was the clue.
Yeah, they
Right.
spaced it out enough where
A little
if you weren't
foreshadowing
looking
action
for it,
there, Brian.
If you weren't
Yeah.
exactly honing in on that, it wouldn't, But obviously, it started to look a little bit like, all right, this guy's fucked up. They made him just deteriorate so much in his look that
His
you're like,
eyes are like red. His
Some-
hair is
something's
graying.
up here. This guy's definitely talking to himself.
And there was a very subtle thing, and I mentioned this to Vin earlier, but I don't know if anybody caught it. When they show Soldier Boy in the tube at the very end of the show, if you listen closely, it's like an off-key version of the Avengers song. Dun, dun, dun,
They
dun,
closed it
dun.
out, like,
it was like
similar
fucking
to-
like, oh,
That's kinda cool.
Shit,
Like
that
a
sounds just
Marvel,
like-
one of the post-credit scenes. It was one of those.
It was insane. I was like, wait, that fucking sounds like the Avengers music. I'm like, that's fucking wild that they went there.
I feel like with the boys, it was good. I think at this point, obviously, it's hard to shock people. I was thinking before that the initial thing about the boys, one of the draws to the boys was that it was the opposite of Marvel. You were going to see things that you just don't see in these big banner superhero movies.
Right.
Someone just completely disintegrated by the superhero and then
Superman
runs
pretty much.
away, and then Superman's a fucking maniac. It's like, that shock value was really that first season. Every episode was like, how could they outdo the last?
And poor Mother's
for the-
Milk, you can't get away from the guy with the pee-pee.
That guy, yeah, he's always
Yeah.
really schlong. Lot of
Jesus.
dick and
Oh,
lot of weird
guys.
sexual references and
Phil just said, "Wait, there was a post-credit scene."
Uh-oh.
I guess I don't know if he's joking right now, but yeah, Phil, there was. It was.
You got to
a-
go back, Phil. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, we could just tell you since we kind of.
It wasn't like the end credit. It was like they showed like some short.
They showed a
credits,
couple
and then
credits.
They went back to it.
Yeah, it's just Homelander looking at Soldier Boy
Soulja
like
Boy,
in the tube and. Like, was he like crying? I forget. He's like tearing
What
up or
happens
whatever.
is
He's
what
like
happens
so
the
excited about it.
president gets the top secret information and he immediately tells Homelander about him. And that's
Homelander's the de facto president.
I don't really
That's how they're
understand.
playing
See,
it.
that was the only thing to me that seemed a little like hasty or contrived was how, because the president was caught on recording saying you should have killed her, he was like,
yeah, he was taken down. It was a conspiracy to kill her because she was found dead. He's now a possible accomplice to murder. You know what I mean?
a
'Cause
coup.
She did
Yeah.
find out
It's a coup
she
based
was
on a lie.
found dead, and he was saying that he wanted her dead. So they don't have proof that he didn't do it. So they're gonna fucking immediately arrest the guy. He's-
I mean, I guess being a soup is an executable crime. So
And then the other guy becomes president. He enacts martial law, and then he hands the fucking reins to Homelander, which is like the worst thing you could possibly do ever.
Yeah, that won't backfire at all. Everything will be fine. Everything's gonna be better than it was before.
I won't bet.
Making it great again.
a lot of mention in the comments here about the
And
show
Sage
Gen
is back
V.
now.
Well, yeah, Sage.
I thought Sage was
planned
just trying
everything.
to take down the fucking. I thought she was trying to take down Vought. I really thought she was.
Right, like maybe she was trying to.
I thought it was
Some,
like you can't beat them.
Double
They
black
can
Asian
only
stuff.
beat themselves,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like Homelander can't be defeated; he's invincible. The only thing he can do is hurt himself. By making himself the enemy, whatever it is.
Right.
I thought they were gonna take that angle, but I guess she just seems like she's in it for the thrills, or that's how they painted it right now. She's
Just to
trying
see if she could.
Yeah, it's like, let's see if I can do this if I'm that smart. And now it's going to be about global domination and getting into a global conflict.
We got to find out what happened to Ashley now that she took full-on compound V.
That's one of the things I'm most
I
curious
forgot she was
about.
bald. I forgot she
Yeah,
pulled her
she
hair out.
picked her hair out and had the alopecia because of stress and shit.
The wig fell off. I was like, oh shit, I forgot she had a wig.
So God knows what power she's gonna get because she was already.
She got that brainiac shit, you know. She had her head was bubbling up.
They really putting that actress to the range. I mean, there was the one
She's a
episode.
great actress, though. You
She
know,
is.
Her
I-
range
she looked
and,
good when
I
she was,
laughed.
freaking
I was
in the whatever you call it. there.
Dungeon?
Oh, the dungeon.
Dungeon.
Oh, with
Yeah.
the fucking.
I was laughing.
Knock
That
off
was-
Batman. That shit was Tech Night.
Tech Night.
Sheesh.
That was
There you go.
That was
Yeah.
the shock. That was definitely the shock thing of the season where it was like, well, all right, we're going into
Nah, man, I'm pretty fucking far
yeah,
from okay.
Hold on,
that
hold
was like
on.
Pulp Fiction territory, man. I was totally thinking to get me the GIMP.
Whoever gets this right gets the free audio book of the week. What was the safe word? Don't you guys answer it. What was the safe word at the end when they're all leaving and his butler tells him what the safe word or the GIMP tells him what the safe word?
Oh, yeah.
Don't spoil it. Whoever gets it gets the free audio book of the week in the comments there. So mull that over.
believe I
What was
remember
Tech
it.
Nights?
Should we give them the hint that he gave him in the beginning of the scene?
No, let them figure it
Let
out.
them figure it out completely.
Yeah, from the dungeon will probably or Hells will probably figure it out if they even try. But whatever, whoever can guess the safe
it's a really
word,
funny answer though.
you gotta.
I do remember it.
Yeah, that was a lot. You know, Kamiko spoke.
That was insane. Yeah, that was the first time she's spoken in the whole show.
So they mentioned in the comments Gen V, and if you haven't watched it, you fucked up because it's probably a little
I didn't watch
confusing. So I didn't watch it either, but I know like a lot of those kids or whatever were from Gen V apparently. A lot of like some of the characters, Negan's character too was also apparently in Gen V, I think.
Oh, I never watched Gen V.
Yeah,
Same.
me neither.
I'll
So
go
we
back and watch
all
it.
fucked up,
Yeah,
I
we
guess.
I think I watched the cartoon that they did of the boys that one season.
Diabolical.
They did like a short run, like one season cartoon, and I think I watched that, but I didn't watch Gen V.
Oh, you know what? I'll give another bonus free audio book of the week if you can say what was Huey's father's last words when he died. If you can guess that, the last two words that he utters or the last name that he utters before he dies, if you can guess that, you'll also get a free audio book.
And speaking of audio
That was
books, I
pretty
wanted to
funny.
say that on my recent excursion to Pennsylvania and ultimately to Virginia to wrap up those scenes for the Days of Sodom, I had a lot of time in the car to listen to audiobooks, so I actually finished Under the Black Hat, the Jim Ross book, and fantastic book. It's actually narrated by him, so if you enjoy his voice as much as I do, it'll be a very easy read. Or listen, I should say.
This mic is signed by JR, and I
actually
have a
signed by
signed
Jim
copy
Ross.
of that book as well.
Also, I
got no
wanted
conscience.
to, say
Got no
shout out to
soul.
his late wife because she was like his rock, and real shame about what happened to her. And shout out to JR's barbecue sauce. Maybe
You gotta try that one of these years.
maybe
You know?
we'll.
One of these years.
Yeah, I mean it's been around forever.
Maybe
I
next
still
year.
haven't tried it.
I definitely want to try some Jim Ross barbecue sauce.
Probably really good.
Throw it on some grilled chicken or something. That'd be nice. But shout out to JR, awesome book. Maybe I'll pick up some of the. I think he made a book called Slobber Knocker or something like that.
Got it.
From the dungeon is getting closer to
Yeah.
the answer.
Getting closer.
It's not the answer though.
There
There it is.
it is.
There it
Hey, winner, chicken
So
dinner.
from the dungeon gets the free
From the
free audio
dungeon.
book. Zendaya was the safe
Zendaya.
word. Zendaya.
Because he was supposed to be Spider-Man, and Zendaya plays Mary Jane in the new movies. So kind of.
Oh, is that what it was?
Deep cut joke.
Yeah, the actual GIMP.
Because she
Okay.
plays Mary Jane Watson in the fucking new movies.
I didn't make the connection.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the
That's
hell?
so funny.
It's fucking Zendaya.
So
that's her favorite.
from the dungeon,
one of
you
her
get your
favorite
book.
things.
If somebody else can guess, what was Huey's dad's dying words? Because that shit had me dying. I thought that was funny as fuck. If you can guess that, you get the free audio book. So yeah, you had Kamiko finally speaks. I mean, I don't know where Mother's Milk was going. If he was like going to finally be with his
I
wife
think
and
he was
daughter
gonna go retire with them.
for a little while. I mean, I don't get it though because it just like seems like Butcher just came in and fucked everything up.
He did.
And
Absolutely
then
did.
and then like thanks, you got everybody like captured. Like I don't know what the deal is. He's
Pretty
giving in
much.
to this
If he
dark
had just
side
died and like in that room, Everything would have been fine, probably.
What is this thing inside of him? Is it a parasite that got some of the
So
V?
what I was saying was,
that's
I think
interesting.
it's that creature that was inside the multiplying guy. Remember when they killed him and some alien jumped out of his chest, and they had to kill it?
I don't
They ended
remember
up
an alien
stepping on
jumping
it or
out.
something. Yes, it happened
Oh,
earlier in the
I
season.
remember that. I remember the
So
stepping
that
up
thing is
component.
probably
Shit, I
swimming
forgot.
around inside of him, and I think that the Jeffrey Dean Morgan that's inside of him is actually that thing speaking to him or influencing his thoughts.
Gotcha.
So so
definitely
he's saying
something
he's
people
trying
are
to
showing
convince him with somebody familiar to him to let go and let the parasite take over his body to use the suit powers. So I think he ultimately gives into that Jeffrey Dean Morgan character after the kid leaves.
But why?
And-
That's what I don't get. If this
Because
is like a V'd up thing and it's a superpower.
Because he just lost all hope. Because there's
kid-
he reached a point of no return.
Well, the kid
once
is-
the kid killed the federal agent,
Yeah.
there was no saving that kid. So now he has to go after him and take out Homelander.
do you think that's true? Or
Yes.
do you think there's no saving Ryan anymore? He's beyond
Oh, I
redemption.
He
think
just
if it-
killed a federal agent. There's no way they're letting him go.
I think he'll feel bad.
Yeah, I
she
mean,
was
if
the
he
only
feels,
one that could get him
I don't
safe
think he's
and away
Homelander.
from Homelander.
he loved her too. You know, like they were,
Homelander's fucked up.
He
for
made
all
a
the reasons
mistake, just
they
like he
showed
made the
us.
mistake with the stunt choreographer and pushed him into the wall.
Yeah, he
and
doesn't
crushed
know
his
how
Yeah, I
head.
feel like a
is.
lot of
He
people.
doesn't know his
in
strength
this
because he wasn't
show-
trained.
right. Well, that's where I don't think he's beyond saving. I mean, maybe Butcher sees
Well,
it
now
as
he's
that,
conflicted
Well, the
because
parasite is like Venom. It's like, it's similar to a Venom symbiote where it's like he's saying it's parasitically controlling and influencing his mind.
Because another
so-
subtle thing that I've noticed in this last episode, his wife is not showing up in his thoughts anymore.
I feel like she popped up once.
Not in this episode.
Not at the finale.
Well,
though. Not when
yeah.
it mattered most.
Only Jeffrey
'Cause that's
Dean
her
Morgan.
So
son.
like that's
He didn't have the angel on his shoulder for that
that's
scene.
his
and
consciousness.
that's when he
His inner
ultimately
self.
gave
Yes.
in to the darkness.
Right.
Yes.
Because she didn't show up once.
You think
this
she wouldn't
episode.
appear if her son just killed someone and, would know Butcher would be like going off the hinge about it? It'd be like, she would probably step in and say, oh, he made a mistake. Or like you said, like that, what the the fighting choreographer he just shoved and he's a bug splat on the wall there.
Mhm.
But I don't get the motive of this parasite in him. I know it's inspired by his mind,
It's probably
but
inspired by Venom or something
Everything's-
similar.
yeah.
why would it want to
everything's-
eliminate Soups? Because it itself is a soup. So this virus thing would kill him in the process.
Views everything as a threat.
But it would also
Or
kill
maybe
it.
can
Well,
absorb
think,
its...
think
no,
about
no.
this, Chris. It's in Butcher's body. Butcher is the host. It's getting its thoughts and its feelings from its host. What does he hate most in the world?
Sure,
Soups.
but that would then
So
disqualify
that
your
creature
other
in
theory.
him hates fucking Soups. So it's that dark side of his mind that it's feeding off of, that he really, like his intrusive thoughts that he really wants to take all these fucking people out mercilessly, because that's who Butcher really is. And then throughout this whole show, they've shown the growth, the personal growth that he's made, that he's not such a piece of shit that he was. That, Huey kind of like made him open up and,
Fucking Huey.
break down those walls and be like his little brother that he lost and this and that. Like, you see a lot of personal growth with Butcher. But when it comes to this parasite thing or whatever is in him, it brings back the cold, ruthless fucking Butcher of old.
Can you go back to the multiplying man and when this thing first showed up?
So what happens is once they finally kill the multiplying man, some kind of shit breaks out of his chest like fucking alien style. And it's like fucking, I think it's got like
I thought that was
appendages or
just
some
like the
shit.
original version of it.
No, that thing is in him, because if you keep watching the show, you see like
Well,
shit
yes,
growing in
and
him.
Butcher, yes.
I think that shit was in the other guy too.
I have to go back.
Maybe I don't.
We'll have to
I
go
don't
back
think
and
that.
watch it again, but I'm fairly certain that thing is what's ultimately driving Butcher. At
I
this
think
point.
he like how
Butcher
Huey's
might be dead. This thing might. So when it said he's going to take over, this thing might have completely taken over Butcher, and Butcher's gone.
I think that's part of it. I think just like how Huey's dad was like dead and then giving him the V, like at first it was cool and then he started losing his mind and going crazy. And they even said when you give V to a healthy person, it fucks him up. So what happens when you give it to somebody that's unhealthy?
Another problem is
Yeah.
that Butcher kept taking the shit.
Well,
he's
yes,
got more
and
in
he
the
developed
ashtray.
this tumor, and I feel like the tumor is almost like the consolidation of all of his hatred and like the darkest
Well, that's
shit
what I'm saying.
in him.
It's feeding off of his worst instincts and his like dark past.
Yeah. And
You
maybe
gotta
that
say,
was
remember
already
he
in
had
him.
like childhood trauma, and his father was a dick, and like all that shit that he lived through, and his loss of his brother kind of made him cold to the world, and that's why he became this ruthless killer and like all that shit. So I think it's possibly similar to how his father was kind of reverting and like going back in time to his thoughts. Maybe this is a version of Butcher we haven't seen because this is a past version of Butcher that we're seeing.
Right. Maybe he already had this tumor in him, and then taking the V exasperated the situation. I mean, look at another example is like Ashley. You know, you were before the show we were talking about, you know, her thing is she's like bald from the stress, right? And she took the V and she started like freaking out, and you saw like some shit moving under her
Maybe she
scalp.
has like hair powers, like the like one of the what are they, the Inhuman, the ones that live on the moon that she ends up dating Johnny Storm for a while.
Also,
I forget her name.
yeah, he didn't look as
the hair.
sick when he killed the woman there. That was
Oh
another
yeah,
thing.
he looked like he was
normal.
healthy again in
Then
a sense.
part of me was thinking, oh, is it one of these skin changers? Yeah, because I don't know what the hell that is. I don't
Oh,
know.
right,
And
right.
I was thinking like, wait, is that? But then when he shot the shit out of his chest, I was like, oh,
And
no.
is she dead? Did she just choke her out and she's unconscious? I
Skin
don't know.
Changer was nuts, man. That was pretty.
I would have fucking
crazy
chopped
concept.
her head off if I was fucking
Yeah,
Starlight. I would
yeah.
not take any chances that that bitch wakes up ever again.
Yeah.
That's a good
After
point.
what
We
she
didn't see
pulled?
what happened after that.
I mean, not for nothing. She fucking had sex and proposed to her fucking fiance.
Stuck
tried to
something in
And then
destroy
fucked
her
with
life.
her head. Yeah, she was
Stole
like,
all her
fucking with
memories. Was all fucking gloaty and shit. Like, I would have fucking annihilated that bitch. It would have been over.
This was
Hasta la
definitely
vista.
had the feeling more of a two-part, like a
Two-part season.
yeah, whatever, 2-season thing. Like they
Yeah.
didn't. Usually, you'd get a little bit more of a wrap.
They're hitting
up
us with a
the-
Spider-Verse
the
thing.
previous
Like,
series.
now we got to wait forever for the end of the fucking story.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's 4 and 5. Oh, please, I got enough to catch up on. So I'm lucky I got to watch all this.
Speaking of catching up, we
Catch
also
up.
just had House of the Dragons. Because I was traipsing around, I didn't get to watch the episode until today. So I'm fully caught up. Interesting.
This was a
It was like a setup episode. You know, not every episode's gonna be like the
No.
craziest shit ever, but they're setting the stage. I've been saying it on the show, so we can safely say it now without it being too much of a spoiler, because they've given you all the breadcrumbs to come to this conclusion yourself. But they're introducing these characters, the dragon seeds. You know, they're the one guy, Ulf the White or Ulf the Sod. He was in the bar saying, "I have blood of the dragon. I'm
Yep.
the brother of Viserys. You know, son of Balin the Brave."
So he'll probably be one of the dragon riders.
Well, they have more dragons than they have. We have no dearth of dragons. They have more dragons than they have dragon riders.
Yeah.
And they end it by saying, "Oh, we got to look at like these splinter branches of
Look
you
at the
know,
bastard children and see if any of them are
the beginning
Yeah.
of the watering down of the whole. It's just the
Purity of the
first
dragon
little
riders.
hint of that. What becomes the long deterioration of. Well,
And it's interesting
long,
because if
but-
you go back to, because you get refreshers and stuff all the time on social media, it's the benefit of it. But they go back to when Stannis is talking to his daughter about the book that she's reading, and she actually recounts
Oh yeah.
the whole story where she's saying the Dance of the Dragons and the Song of Ice and Fire and this and that, and basically, you know, the whole, you know, the aftermath of this is like a bloodbath of all the dead dragons and the thousands
Civil
of people
War.
that die. So it's a foreboding of the events that we're gonna unfold in this House of the Dragon show. But I've been enjoying it. I can't say that I feel that it's as epic or as exciting as Game of Thrones was at the time.
I don't think it could ever
But
be that way.
I'm
though.
also
Nothing
still
can.
enjoying it nonetheless. You know,
Yeah. I'll say after
That
the battle at
zeitgeist was
Rook's Rest
unmatched.
with the dragon, you know, the dragon battle.
Yep.
That episode to me, at the end of it, I said, I was like, Game of Thrones is back. You know, for at least for a little while, for me, watching that, it was, you know, it very much just felt like all the things that you want to see in quintessential Game of Thrones, you know, and things that you've never seen before. Dragon battling, and not just like, you know, when people think of dragons battling, they think of like spraying fire, but like they're fighting like hawks do.
Oh, it was very cool.
Yeah,
It was
like the
awesome to see
clawing.
how they, like,
Yep.
really portrayed that.
Yeah, you know, and when have you ever really seen that even in Hollywood, dragons fighting?
apparently, I think George R. R. Martin was complaining about the way that they designed the sigil or something.
Sigil's
Oh, he wasn't
wrong.
It has
complaining.
4 legs.
Yeah.
and
That is the thing.
wings,
In
and it's
in
like-
traditional like medieval lore in real life, usually dragons are depicted with 4 legs. But George was always like, that's fucking stupid. That would mean the wings are another set of legs in a sense, or arms. There's no creatures on Earth that have 6 legs, 4 legs, 2 wings, 6
It'd be more
limbs.
like Spyro the Dragon.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think his versions of dragons are kind of more like realistic in a sense. So that's kind of his.
They're more like wyverns.
Well, that's how.
Wyverns, right? Yeah.
Right.
And
Yes.
Godzilla's what's the 3-headed one?
Ghidorah,
Yeah, that's 2 legs, 3 heads.
or even Tiamat with the 5-head dragon with all the different
Those are just
elements.
I will say,
Dungeons
though,
and Dragons.
a big thing, as a book reader, and there's a lot of controversy for the fucking idiot book readers that want to think that they're cooler than everybody because they read the books. I read the books too, more than you and before you did, so shut the fuck up. And a lot of people are complaining because they're making deviations in the plot, God forbid. Even though the plot for House of the Dragon is meant to be open, it's a historical account written 150 years after the fact by a historian maester, citing sources that at the time it was unclear. So it's meant to be kind of open for interpretation. But Aemond...
Ambiguity.
They left themselves the
Room.
When he wrote
Yeah,
the
of
book, he
course.
left himself the space to say, hey, if they want to adapt this, it'll be much easier to adapt because it won't be so, this didn't happen like this, or this
Right.
is how it was in the book. But
right.
they
It's
still
not coming
always...
from first point of
person
view.
perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's as if it was written 150 years later. So like a lot of the details were lost to the history. So it's very open. And the accounts of Rook Rest, he says specifically, anybody that was near it is dead, and everyone else that was there couldn't make out anything because there was so much smoke. Is pretty much how he explains it. But Aemond attacking Aegon, like with Vagar and sacrificing his brother, that was not
Murdering.
explicitly stated in the books.
Murdering.
In the books, you just have, the 3 dragons fought, and the only one that walked out flew out was Vagar, pretty much. Him sacrificing his brother and like tying it to his brother humiliating him in the brothel.
Right.
And like that chick, the whore that he was with, the older lady that was like his first, that he was making fun of him.
Yep.
That's like briefly mentioned in the books in passing. It's like, actually, the only person he was ever with was this one lady. So like they tied together. George was this was his vision all along, I think, but they didn't explicitly state it. And that was one thing that, as a book reader, was like a pleasant surprise. It was like, holy shit, Aemond is no fucking joke.
Yeah, he's
right now.
clearly striving for power, and he wants to
He's playing a Game
claim
of
the
Thrones.
throne. And exactly,
An eye for a
Yes, there
throne.
you go.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually an amazing part of that episode. Really. So knowing that, and I felt like they went like a really good direction.
He's like
It's like,
Damon
oh.
2.0.
I think there was parts of that episode too that I actually like truly hated though.
Same.
Like what?
Filling in the spaces between like what the book is saying. I haven't read the books. I'm not a book reader, but just like I guess the direction of like how the fight ended up. You kind of get the whole idea that Princess Rhaenys is a vet. Is like skilled. The idea of her not knowing where this giant dragon is after their little skirmish, and then just flying over the only blind spot in the entire battlefield to get like taken off guard, which from like some type of
she
Yeah,
did
sure.
that move when she arrived or went for a second
she
pass.
did that move herself.
She
yeah.
did the same move, and I was like, huh,
So I'm like,
okay.
I would have rather, and like maybe this is nitpicking, but I'd rather like Vagar is like the biggest dragon around the time, like just like win by brute force, because you're not gonna beat her Rhaenys based on just like dragon fighting skill,
Agility.
agility and skill,
Right.
as just experience. So there was like things where I'm like direction wise, I was like,
I could have
feels a little
misinterpreted it.
unbelievable.
but
Why
I-
did she just?
It's more like, oh, this is
What
going to
she
be
was giving up. I don't
the
know.
best looking shot. Sometimes now
I mean,
you're
yeah, I guess
thinking
by
of,
itself was a really cool shot, right?
when you're writing it as
Yeah.
the TV writer, I'm sure they're just like whatever.
You gotta find
you're
a way to get
storyboarding
there.
it.
yeah,
and
you got to get there.
I can only assume because in a strategic, like nobody. That's not a good idea. You don't go
Yeah.
over that area at all ever. There's nothing even really shooting at her over the forest. There's no reason to even go that direction when you know. Wait, when I look around, I can't see this 747 sized fucking dragon. But let me fly over this cliffside again, it definitely just
Well, there's-
looked good because she
It
goes
looked
over the
good.
castle.
Yeah.
and
There's a
the
few things
water.
to that, I will say. So one thing that's
Also, isn't that how Vagar killed the other
That's
one
how
too?
Vagar gets everybody.
Yeah, he just
So
snuck
far,
attack.
yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I
he's,
think
he's huge.
if you go back to the scene and you watch like right before she has that final skirmish with him, you notice that like her dragon's injured. She's kind of weary, and I think that she realized that
That was
even
it.
if they went back, her dragon wasn't going to live much longer anyway from the wounds that had been inflicted on it already. And I think she realized in that moment that even if she died right there, it would just spur the houses to move because she's the wife of the sea snake and the queen that never was. And I think there was more meaning to her death than her staying alive. Because even if you go back to the episode where she's kind of running the show for Rhaenyra when she went off to King's Landing, nobody's listening to her or taking her seriously. And it wasn't until the sea snake walked into the room that people started fucking listening. So I think it's also smart that she made the sea snake her hand, because now maybe they'll start listening to what she has to say more.
So a
And
few
she'll have
things.
more confidence in her court.
Yeah, a few things. Vagar is, he looks like almost like a Venusaur. Like he's very grassy.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at him, like So I guess that was kind of the idea, is that he was able to blend in with the forestry, but
That
she knew
is fine.
Vagar was
That's
going to be
fine.
there.
Yeah.
That's
She was
not-
expecting the battle with Vagar. What nobody was planning on was Aegon joining the fight. And the way that they write
How
it in
did
the
they-
books,
right, yeah, how did they say that in the book?
they said, against
Did he get-
Vagar, Vagar
no,
was
wait.
bigger, but her dragon, was it
Did the
Meraxes? I
king-
forget her dragon is faster.
How
So-
did they
Meraxes?
get to the place where
think it's
they said the
no, it's not
king
Meraxes.
left? Did they say that the king
Somebody tell me they
left
heard dragon's name.
under the circumstances that
Ellis?
he left, or in the history, in the telling, in the retelling, it's just, oh, the king left King's Landing and went to the
That's
battle.
it. Yeah, it's
It's not like, oh,
the
he got
way
pissed
that
at
they
the
got there,
queen
that
and blah, blah.
Aegon joined because his mother told him, like, just don't
Sit
get
and do
involved.
nothing, you're a
You're
pussy.
incompetent. Like, just stop.
Dumbass.
That was the thing in the show that's not shown in the books. They just say the king, the brothers joined as one
okay.
against one dragon, Vagar, she had a chance, but against the two of
Melees.
them, she had no chance.
Chris Melees.
Melis,
Yeah,
okay,
there
that's
you
what
go.
I thought.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Melis.
Yeah.
And it was something with an M. But the other thing too that was like significant is you'll notice that she at one point like goes to like take her straps off the dragons, and then she like secures herself on, because she commits right there, like, I'm going down with the
Kamikaze.
ship.
Going down with
And
the
then there's
dragon.
some fucking idiot I read that's like, why didn't she jump off? And then what?
Where?
Die. If you're
Fly?
700 feet in the
Parachute.
fucking air, it doesn't matter if you
Straps
jump
way
off
to
the
the shoe.
dragon.
She is the dragon.
The way gravity works, you're still gonna. I thought that was so cool how it like fell on top of her too. She went down with the ship. That
It
was
was a cool
very,
scene.
yeah. And that
It's a dragon's death. They said,
Yeah.
that's been a common theme. Her daughter dies by dragon flame. That woman's daughter, Damon's daughter, says she wants to die in the same manner.
yeah.
So it's honorable to die that way. It's not like, oh my God, she wanted.
Well, even her daughter
she
said,
knew-
she's like, I want to die the same way, in
Yeah.
flames.
exactly.
Yeah,
It-
her
It's
granddaughter.
honorable. It's an honorable death to them.
Yeah, I mean, she went out like a boss, the queen that never was. Because I mean, the whole thing too with the beginning of the show, the Great Council 101 that names Viserys as the king. It was between Viserys, and in the show they made it her, but in the books it was her son Laenor.
Oh, interesting.
But the idea being they all voted against her because they didn't want a woman. I don't know. It's just
The
really
show-
interesting how everything comes full circle.
The show's very good, and I feel like it's tough for anyone who's at all a casual fan of like Game of Thrones stuff.
You need to be into it a little bit more.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is drier. This is more, some parts of that episode, the previous episode that were tough were just the tediousness sometimes. Laris, like, I'm not as bought in as I was with Littlefinger. We had more time with those characters, and there was, you weren't sure about Littlefinger for a while. You kind of hated him, but then you're like, oh, he's all right, and then he fucks over Ned, and you're like, fuck this guy. And then you're really bought into it. I feel like these characters, we really had to jump in. You had the age and the time jump, so you're not connected to Millie Alcock the way you were connected to Daenerys. It's now there's this newer actress. They didn't even spend a whole season with that actress.
That was hard. That was personally hard for myself too. I would assume for everybody else here, but I was like, I'm sticking with it. But
Definitely, and I have to wonder the purpose to the show, because for HBO, there's always going to be an underlying like business purpose to this, right? And the one thing they keep landing on is A Song of Ice and Fire. A Song of Ice. They keep going back to the story, and they want you to remember these things. And I'm wondering, like, all right, I guess this is probably the thread that they're going to use throughout, because we have another show coming, Tales of Dunk and Egg, and
I think they're going to bring this into
that
like the
dagger's
Jon Snow show.
They're trying to come up with something. I don't think that actually worked out for now, but I just
Jon
don't
Snow
see
is
how,
the Song of Ice and Fire.
right? I don't see how, if they're gonna do all this Targaryen stuff and tell us all these things, that they don't want to revisit where there's only been a 20-year break between the Targaryen rules, and I know the end of Game of Thrones we're not all in love with. So it's like, I'm just wondering, is there an underlying purpose behind all of this? Because it really seems like in the show they're driving home the Song of Ice and Fire thing, and every time they say it, it does something to the audience where you're like, oh, I know what that is. Yeah,
it's another thing book purists hate, because it's not in the books like that. It's they're
It's
like,
not,
oh, this
yeah,
is
you're
a show embellishment, and it's funny that
That's
they're
what I mean
complaining.
by it's a business decision.
They'll say, if I hear it one more time, I'm gonna snap, and it's like, meanwhile, these are the same people that are complaining that the show is called Game of Thrones when that's only the name of book 1. The series is A Song of Ice and Fire, and the book purists were always like, it's actually called A Song of Ice and Fire. But now that they say A Song of Ice and Fire in the show, they're fucking complaining.
It's funny to call TV audiences like stupid or something, and it's like,
And some of them are.
yeah,
And that's
in a
okay,
sense,
sure,
like
you have
you're-
to dumb it down a
You're
little bit.
simplifying, and you're curating it so, because not every
Especially
word
with
on the
my
page.
dad. Like, my dad enjoys the show tremendously, but I'm constantly having to remind him of shit.
right.
My
'Cause
dad
it's
doesn't
hard-
even realize House of the
it's hard to
Dragon is a
keep up with
different
the
show
story.
from Game of Thrones. He's trying to wait, so that's Daenerys, right? I'm like, no, that's a totally different person. This is taking place 200 years before. He's like, well, and like there are
specifically
people.
the recaps that they do before each episode, my
Those
dad
help.
usually needs to watch.
Yeah, those help. I think they
you
sum
know?
stuff up
'Cause
a
it's
little
like,
bit.
what the fuck happened last week?
They kinda
I can't remember
spoil
what I
stuff,
did
too, a
yesterday,
little
you
bit.
know?
It is a great universe. It's another one of those things like Wizarding World, and
Yeah.
you love the universe, and you want to hear the stories that are in there.
All the houses.
The little
Yeah,
after show is great too. I will say, that they kind of like recap the episode and like kind of
Oh,
They
yeah,
have
the episode
such
is incredible.
premium. I mean, the people, the writers, the director, premium people. They have the best of the best.
Yeah.
We got,
Despite
now
what
we have the
idiots
budget
think.
to see that dragon fight. That took 6 seasons to even get a budget that was like $100 million per season. You didn't even get a battle until Battle of Blackwater. I don't think we saw a full-fledged battle.
In Game of Thrones?
Yeah, but Chris had a point right when the show came out. He said, there's no humor in this show.
There's not a lot
nothing-
of humor, but it's starting to show. I think Aegon was almost like a source of humor for a little while in his incompetence.
Could have been.
And Otto, and how he's like,
Otto's my favorite character, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think from
Otto is
Otto.
if you're gonna blame one person for all of this shit going down, it's fucking Otto.
No, I think it's his daughter.
Aegon,
But I guess that's-
Rhaenyra ascends the throne, there will be war. You're the one fucking starting the war. Like, yeah.
He's not
Otto
wrong.
Hightower
He's
is
not
the most
wrong.
grasping. He is wrong, because he was fine naming Rhaenyra the heir when it was her or Daemon, because Daemon could never sit the
Another
iron.
Maegor.
There will be war. It's always that. There'll be another Maegor. That's what he says, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, name Rhaenyra.
When
It's
Damon's
fine.
listening in the shadows.
He had no problem naming a female as the heir when it suited him, but once his blood was now mixed in the line, he's one of the most grasping people in all of this. So you could definitely blame
He's not
him.
Tywin Lannister.
No.
I don't
not.
think he
He's a
has the
different-
same venom.
He's not as cold and calculated, and
I don't think
as
he's
severe.
as
as villainous.
militarily successful either. Tywin was
like
like,
he
like
very-
a general,
Anybody is in
wasn't
this
he?
show right now because of like the amount.
commanded from the rear.
He didn't seem to jockey power amongst even the small council, or like or put people.
Oh no! They were ready when Viserys died to
Well,
take.
he was playing the long game. He knew that he was never going to be in power, but he tried his best to set his family up to be the future generation of power.
Right. If you rewatch season 1, you see him going ham, trying to when there's that like the white elk in the forest. Remember that? And he's like, "This is a great sign, Your Grace, and on your son's first birthday or whatever it was." He kept trying to convince Viserys that like the prophecy favored Aegon, and constantly throughout the entire.
The most calculated plot was
He always
him
said it was
setting
Rhaenyra.
up his daughter with him.
Yeah, he always
that's true.
maintained it was Rhaenyra until the very end. And the idea that Alicent misinterpreted his words at the end, that's another show thing. That wasn't in the books.
Yeah, nobody would know
It's a
that.
nice little, like... I like that when they do little things. You're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. You know, things that are different.
Well, I
What a
feel like
fucking season.
Yeah, it's been excellent. really.
We could always.
This next episode is going to be nuts.
We
And
have
now
3
I'm kinda,
episodes
like, in
left.
that,
3 more.
Yeah, we're getting 10. I thought we were getting
Wait, 10?
short. I'm pretty sure it's because the last season I thought was short. Then I looked; it was 10 episodes.
I
was
think
like,
we're
oh.
on 5 right now. Are you sure 10?
There was
Are you
10
sure?
There was 10 episodes last season. That's all I know.
Oh, that would be
I think
great
there's only
news.
3 more because I
There's
saw.
only 3 more because of the runtime that
yeah.
we shared.
Yeah.
So it is
Someone shared
another 8. Now we're getting cheesed.
I
with
think
8.
it's 8. But,
But the runtimes were all 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Phil said they
That's,
took his advice because I forgot what other show he was saying. It's like, why not just do longer fucking episodes if.
and you don't have
Yeah.
to, like, try to make each episode begin and end a certain way. You know, you have more time to
That's
fit
almost
all
a
the
short.
chunks together.
That's basically a short movie.
Yeah, it's like a
70-minute
series of
runtimes.
movies.
Definitely.
You think about how much time they're filming all this shit too. The battles. The second to last episode usually is the craziest episode of every season. Like every major battle happens on the second to last episode of the season,
Right.
and then
It's
the
always the
last episode
penultimate.
is like after that and setting up for the next one.
It's funny. Who knew like it would become so big? Because I was
You wrote that shit
surfing the New York Comic Con website one day a couple years back, looking at like past guests, and
He was like
the first time I ever went to New York Comic Con was in 2008 with my brother, a few years before I started cosplaying or any of that. And turns out George R.R. Martin was at the con that time I went, but nobody knew who the fuck, what
Not
the
a
fuck Game of
soul.
Thrones was back in 2008. So, who
And
cares?
he was going to Comic Con since like the origins when it was at the hotel in like a couple of rooms. He was
Yeah.
going to Comic Con way.
For all I know, I
way
could have seen the
back.
guy, and it's like,
You wouldn't have had any. Yeah, guaranteed to walk by his booth because it was a fucking one table with a little sign, and the first covers were pretty like fantastical. They didn't have the simplified like the ones that we know. They've even evolved them a few times. There's like a brand new series of the books coming out that look really nice, but the artwork on the first editions of Game of Thrones was like corny. It looked a little bit more Dungeons and Dragons or something. It
I was gonna
was
say like a cliche, like what you'd see like of any cliche like fantasy book right now.
absolutely
Like he was just trying to break, and he was just like one of many.
100%. He hired someone and said what the book was about, and they drew this bullshit.
Yeah.
Versus the more simplified, nice like the sword. I love the hardcover series that we knew as like the HBO show was coming out. Those are like I think the nicest. They do have $250 per version leather
Ooh.
with like the Bible paper. I forgot what the paper, rice paper. It's like the nicest, yeah, with illustrations, all this like really nice ink shit.
oh shit.
Yeah, but they're like $200 a pop. It's like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
That is a lot.
Jesus. Only this guy would be even tempted for that.
I don't.
College textbook
I have
worthy,
always
I
done the ebooks. I prefer actually doing the ebooks. Help me get through Game of
I
Thrones.
feel like you would
and
buy
reading-
these books not even just to really open them,
Just to let
which
them
is
sit
kinda-
there.
just-
100%.
My brother
Well-
definitely has leather-bound books of like his favorites. So he's got
That's
a
like-
set of the original Star Wars.
We
books.
do have
One time
his
when you open
autograph. In the,
Yeah, we
in
did go
those,
to the George
Dragon
R.
books. I forget what the name of that book is called. It's like a picture book about the Targaryens. It's not Fire and Blood.
Something of the dragons.
We went to this event in New York City where it was really cool because, I've talked about meeting celebrities before. I feel like it's a little transactional. Like you go, you pay, you get their autograph, you don't know what to say. But anyway, what they did was you go in, they give you the autograph book right there, like at admission into the building. And then everybody got to sit, and we were like right in the front, so we got pretty good seats.
That's exactly what I did with.
And we
Carrie
watched a
Fisher.
panel. It was awesome. We watched a panel, and it was him and Neil Gaiman, who's another like huge.
Oh yeah, he made
wrote
the
the Norse
Sandman.
gods.
Sandman. He
the
did
Norse Gods
the
book.
Norse Gods books that you listened to.
That's a great.
Yeah.
book.
So and that's narrated by him too. So it was him talking. It was like the best minds in fantasy writing.
The
together.
only thing with the audiobooks I've noticed is my retention level is lower than if I was reading. It's the only thing.
I
Because
find the opposite.
When I read, no, because like reciting somebody's name, like reading and seeing someone's name, much easier to like speak it back. When I'm listening to the story, I'm visualizing. I'm very like, sometimes when I'm reading, I'll have to reread because I'll read a sentence and then I'm like, when I read the next sentence, I'm like, oh wait, the way I read this before, I was reading it wrong. I have to kind of let me reread this. Okay. Yeah. It just goes to memory more. I'll find myself when I listen to the books, I'm hearing the story, I'm visualizing it. And then when I'm done, I'm like, okay, but I couldn't really recite to you every little name or every little thing because, your mind travels a little bit when you're listening to audio.
I recommend anyone do the ebook if they're gonna read it because there's a lot of like medieval terms in there that you don't know what the like. I know what a trebuchet is, but let's say I didn't know what that is. When I did the ebook, I could just tap, highlight the word, defines it for me. Oh, and then continue reading, which is not something that's easy to do with a physical book. So. That's really help. And they have a glossary that you could like jump to in the back to like understand stuff too. So like if you're like, Lannisters, who are they? It would jump you to the glossary where you could like read a little bit and understand what was going on and then jump back. But there's a lot of ways that you can enjoy it. I love the audiobooks. I did want to mention too with the actors and actresses changing. We mentioned that before and how that kind of like hurt the show. They kind of had to because the way that the books were written, it was like a hour and a half read, which was mostly about Damon, and then there was like a 4-hour story, which was about the princesses or whatever, and everything else that happens. And it just the way that it was written, it's a lot of time, like a big span of time, but not that much. So they kind of had to jump forward in time, but it did hurt them a little bit, and the lack of humor.
You know what really hurt the audience? The Halo show. And I'm really glad they fucking canceled that. Because that was they're just fucking killing Halo.
And you know what? They were so high and mighty about it, too. They were like, well, if you don't like that he takes his helmet off, then don't watch. That was like the mindset, and then people didn't watch.
There we are. Then we saw, Fallout, and you saw what the bar is for a video game adaptation TV show.
I'm sure that helped the show get canceled.
Like Fallout doesn't.
Microsoft.
Fallout has a ton of lore, like any Bethesda game, but Master Chief and Halo had such a deep lore that was in the game that was, part of the.
They tossed it aside,
and they just completely
I don't know why.
Anything that grounded the game and made the game really good, they were like, yeah, no, we're not going to make that part of our show. They need to revive. I don't know how they're going to revive Halo. I swear. They just moved 343 off of all future development. They're just going to oversee the game or oversee.
What
the
does that
development.
mean? They're going to license it out. That could be a really good thing, or it could be a really bad thing.
Just sell it back to Bungie, like you said, fucking years ago. Sell it back. You're killing it. You're ruining it. Now you're not going to even be able to put out a show or put out a fucking game that's going to sell.
Stupid
Halo
fucking
Infinite
game.
was a good game.
I'm not knocking the game. I'm just saying they're fucking killing the franchise by having these giant failures when they could have really good animation, they could have a good cartoon, they could have a good fucking trilogy.
You want to revive
series.
Halo? Put it on PlayStation.
One of the rumors that started spreading around the internet was, and this is like the biggest fucking lie, but your biggest pipe dream was, Christopher Nolan's development company is looking at doing a Halo trilogy movie because Jonathan Nolan is the one that wrote Fallout. So there was just like a little bit of, just a sprinkle of truth to where, sure, if Jonathan Nolan was a big Halo player or something and had any interest in this, clearly he's the guy because they did Westworld together. I think Jonathan Nolan's, Westworld, Fallout.
That's interesting.
He wrote The Dark Knight. But his brother, Christopher Nolan, doesn't have to do any of that shit. Why would he lock himself in to a partnership with fucking Microsoft when they're, not a good partner? They just seem like they're...
He wants to do his own projects.
Right. He's got original ideas. He's beyond any of that shit, He's doing
He's Batman beyond those.
I feel like it wasn't like he barely was even going to do like Batman for like.
Yeah,
it was kind of like a.
They wanted him to do a trilogy. It was definitely like if the whole thing with Warner was like, we really want you to do a trilogy for this because they needed to revive Batman at the time because the last thing that happened with Batman was fucking Batman Forever. Or what,
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, so that was like pretty dead. It was like Spider-Man
George
3.
Clooney Batman.
It was like, we're done with these. We're going to move on.
Oh, damn.
The armored nipples.
Yes, confirming From the Dungeon. Yes, Halo series got canceled.
Halo series of
Oh,
fun.
definitely. Yeah, no.
They need to release the multiplayer on PS5. Come out with a 10-episode show, animated series about Grey Team. Do something away from Chief, but still about the Spartans.
Grey Team would be awesome.
Fucking sick. Show what they're capable of.
Halsey, the
And
early
then you do a
years.
movie, a trilogy movie, and that would get them back, and then you can launch the
Seems
next
so easy,
game.
right?
Yeah, I just say that like just right.
No, I'm like
Just don't have shitheads running it who don't
Yeah.
care about it. I don't
It's
know, like
simplicity,
get
it's
passionate people to do the work and understand at its core what it really is, instead of it being a business transaction.
We were pretty optimistic, like 1 or 2 episodes in.
Yeah,
We were actually enjoying the show.
I'm
We're
an
like,
easy
oh,
sell
cool.
on that shit.
Yeah.
Halo goes back to the Jay
We
and
were
Silent Bob shit.
enthusiastic.
The Jay and Silent Bob DVD that I brought, you know what else was in the bag? My Xbox, and I introduced everybody to Halo that same exact fucking summer. So that summer was Halo and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And ever since then, we've been Halo fans. We've read the books. We were, there should be a
Oh,
show.
Joe is crazy with Halo.
Joe,
He reads
absolutely.
all the
Until
books.
he read every single spec you could get of Halo comics. He was
in.
so
He was deep.
we're bought in. We're easy sells. We're the we're not even the target. We're the people that are just like, yeah, they'll watch it if we put it out.
Right.
Up
That's
until
it.
a
They took
point.
advantage of our goodwill, and they kept taking that fucking helmet off of Chief. Mandalorian, they managed to keep that thing on him, and when he took the helmet off, it was like, oh, cool.
Right. It was
When
a
Chief
necessary
took
moment.
off the helmet, it was like, what is he doing? Why
I
is he
laughed. That
doing
was that was actually a laughing point with my dad and
Yeah.
I, because every time he took the helmet off, my dad and I would chuckle and be like, "Vin and Joe are gonna be pissed," because I'm not
An
you know,
angel loses
emotionally
its
involved
wings.
in Halo like you are, like because I didn't buy into that franchise at the time. I wasn't a
Multiplayer.
multiplayer guy at the time,
Let's go.
and
Red versus blue.
so I was enjoying the show for just the show being a show, without like having the background knowledge.
right.
Like if you didn't know anything about Halo, you would probably enjoy the show.
right.
But it's because you take it personally because you know it could be better. That's why you hate it. And it's
Master
probably
Chief,
like even
we're
like
with
the
you, Phil.
Acolyte. If somebody never saw Star Wars in their lives and they watch the Acolyte, they'd be like, "Why do people hate this so much?" But I
I'm
haven't
sure
even
with all
watched
the
it
hate
yet.
it's
I
getting,
haven't
if I ever
started it.
just one day decide to turn it on for the sake of being in the Star Wars mood and really,
I think my dad
wanting
wants to
to-
watch it, so I might. End up
I'll
watching
do that.
it.
I'll go through a phase. I'll like steep
Yeah, just
myself
watch it,
deep
yeah.
into. I'm watching all the Star Wars movies. I'm watching everything I can get my hands on. So if I watch it, I'm sure I'll be like, huh, it's not terrible. I'm sure it's getting more hate than.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like
it's ma-
magnified.
But
Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
it's true. I mean, does kids like it? You got to ask yourself, oh, would a kid like this? Would a 9-year-old boy or girl
But I feel
like
justified
this?
about the sequel trilogy because my niece is a kid and she hates it.
Oh, that's helpful.
So that makes me feel
those
better.
are suck though.
But that can be framed by your reaction to it, too.
No,
perhaps.
she individually hates those movies herself.
You didn't give her
Feels
the
like
whole
gotta go to
fucking,
bed, yes.
the whole
No, she
spiel.
originally she was like into Ray and this and that, and she had the toys and I guess
The
because
second
of the,
one was so bad.
the third movie, I think that like
All right.
something about it just
Yeah,
turned
I
her
know.
off.
It's
We are-
just
hates
further
it.
spiraling. We're
running
approaching
deep
midnight.
into this, so I think as a wrap up, real quick, I think suddenly everybody got the bug where Deadpool is a week away, and I had to get tickets. I saw
bought
the
a
latest
ticket, too.
trailer, and I was like, all right, let's do it. Yep, me and Rob and Sam are going to go, so I can't wait. It's been a while since we've had some Marvel content. We needed a lull. It needed to go away a little bit. It was just a wash of mediocre shows and mediocre movies that I don't think really hit the nail on the head of what Marvel could be. So this looks good. I hope this is something that rejuvenates people's interest and also brings together some of the storylines that have been lingering out there. I think the best thing to come out was Loki, season 2.
Loki
And,
season 2 was incredible.
That was that was a really
Now
good
Jonathan
series.
Majors is fired, so who knows what's going to happen with all that
That's
shit.
yeah. That you might as well just forget about all that 'cause it's all about Fantastic Four. They just announced Pedro Pascal and that whole crew. So I think this, the Deadpool movie, it's got a pretty heavy lift because it's got to it looks like it's tying together a few pieces. It looks like it has Eliath from Loki. They're going to be in the TVA is going to be making an appearance.
Oh.
So then you're also tying in some of the, I would say, a little bit of Multiverse of Madness, but not any of the plot threads. all the old X-Men movies. There's like a bunch of cameos from all those original movies. Obviously, it's going to be in a very comedic way, but I'm wondering what does it need to be to get everybody back in?
I have a prediction.
Shoot.
I think that Kang was the one that was keeping them where they are. And now that he's been defeated, they're going to come back. And I don't know if this movie is going to be about their journey and like where they went, or if it's going to be more about them coming back and then just kind of expositioning and telling you what happened. And now it's just going to be a team from the 60s in modern day.
It's Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how they play that, because there's a direct connection between Kang the Conqueror and Reed Richards, because he's a descendant of Reed Richards. He's actually related to him. So it only makes sense that I think that
I'm thinking more
Kang
Deadpool. I'm not even thinking about Fantastic Four.
Well, even when you think about if Kang had that much power over the universe, without him there, all the things that he would perceive as threats are going to start coming back into the universe. Things that should have been there from the start but were missing for some unexplained reason, like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and all the shit that should have been there when Manhattan got attacked, and like these elements that, like, what happened, why aren't these people here, what, this doesn't make sense. This is going to be their explanation
from the trailer. I'll give a little bit. I'm not going to go on a big rant about this. It's so late, but the trailers suck. They just spoiled a major point and a major cameo in the most recent trailer. So I'd say avoid the most recent trailer if you can. But in one of the trailers, they actually speak to where they are in time, and it looks like it's after the fall of the TVA, after Loki season 2, and the TVA agent from Loki goes to get Deadpool and says, like, we need you because you're the only one that can help us, like fix this whole... Yeah, exactly. And because he could do that, it seems like that's how they're going to play it.
So wait, which agent?
The big black chick there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's in it. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, she was in that trailer, I believe, for like a frame.
She's awesome.
So it's going to pick up from there.
She had a lot of character development, because she started off as a brutal character. It's like, a fuck with, and then she sees the truth and like becomes one of the most staunch allies, which is an interesting character arc for her. Well,
it'll be good. We're going to see that Thursday, so we'll be able to talk about that Friday if we're going to be getting together. Friday. So I think we should take this home.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of momentum, that's for sure. And to
this
be
is
continued.
What happens when Eric Grunfeld is here.
Yeah, listen,
inspiration
do this again.
flows. And
needed to.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, this has been the Break Room Podcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us this week. Special thank you to Eric Grunfelder, Gruffy, for joining us. We love you, and so honored to have you back here with us. And
feels good.
If you guys enjoyed the show, please hit that subscribe button and that follow button and the notification button so you know when we're going live, because, you never know if it's going to be 9 or 9:30. We kind of like to surprise you, like, what's going to happen?
Keep you on your toes.
Never let them know your next move.
They're not going to be there. They're going to be... Yeah, sorry.
But we'll be back next Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Snoochie Boochies, and may the Force be with you.
Peace.
3, 2, 1.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Oh, show! Oh, my God, your kicking table and the computer just shook. That is, no one was mad that you cut the whole... You go anywhere!
What do I do with that? Yeah, and the Macho Madness and the Hulkamania.
On top of that, you're the best wrestler of all time. So I absolutely adore you.
For being the cream of the crop, yeah.
Let's go!
Fucking idiot, you have no idea what you're fucking talking about.
God.
They were saying Sony apparently said that the PlayStation 5... You fucking suckers! Is that the end of it? Or
every pixel of the game engine into the face.
Can't say that. Dallas.
Stupid.
What did when that's like part of my Christmas